Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Charbunny, and I'm joined today by Jen. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Charbunny.
I'm so glad to have you here with me. We're going to be running a game called Super Mario Maker. Now, you may have heard of that game, but did you know it actually came out on the Nintendo 3DS? That's right, I'm actually holding a 3DS. That's what I'm going to be playing this on. Now, there were a few minor compromises that Nintendo made when they brought this from the Wii U down to the 3DS, including just small things like you can't actually share your levels with other people, and, oh, what was the other one? Oh yeah, you can't search for levels by your favorite creators. So, yeah, a bit of a downgrade there. But in order to make up for it, Nintendo did put 100 of their own custom-built levels into this game, 88 of which we're going to be playing today as part of our Super Mario Challenge Any % Run. Now, this is a Mario game, so as is tradition, I am going to be donating a set amount every single time that I die. I usually die between anywhere from 0 to 10 times during the course of the run, so I would love it if anyone at home would match my donation there. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, let's go! So what's interesting about running a Super Mario Maker game is that the point of this game, like the primary objective of this game, is not to be fun or to have a good challenge, is to teach the level or the creators how to make good levels. Now, they want to make fun levels, they want people to make interesting, challenging levels, so it ends up still being a fun, challenging speedrun, but keep that in mind. It's intended to teach the player how to make levels. Sorry, there was our story, blink and you miss it, Princess Peach is kidnapped, that's the story, you're all caught up. But the very first thing Nintendo wants to teach us about level design, the most important thing they want us to come away with this from, is that it's okay to copy paste. A lot of the levels in this game are actually throwback levels. Immediately we get one at the start. This is a copy of the original 1-1 from the original Super Mario Bros. Game. There are a few differences in each of these throwback levels due to the way that the game's physics work and the way the item mechanics work in these later versions. But you'll be able to play some fun spot the level games. I'll try to call them out when there's throwback levels involved. So that's our first copy-paste level, but I promise there's some creativity as well. So this next level is going to be more of a traditional Mario Maker level. Now, when I say Mario Maker level, what comes to mind? Well, for me, it's things like, I don't know, let's just stack a bunch of enemies on top of each other for no apparent reason. And let's put a bunch of hidden blocks that the player has to find in order to advance. So this level's got both of those. This is where we get really into that classic Mario Maker action with Koopas stacked on top of Koopas, and of course an invisible block ladder climb right here in level 1 too. So we're off to a good start. Now, one of the things that's interesting is right now you're seeing me in the theme of the original Super Mario Bros. Game. I've got the same sprite, the enemies look the same, but this game actually comes with 4 different themes coming from different entries in the Mario franchise. So we have the original Super Mario Bros., which you've seen here. We'll also have levels in the theme of Super Mario Bros. 3, of Super Mario World, and of New Super Mario Bros. U, which is what we're going to see next. Now, to avoid confusing the heck out of the players, all of the physics, regardless of the appearance, match the new Super Mario Bros. U theme. So all of my jump heights, my top speed, how long it takes me to get to top speed, all of that is only coming from the game that's pictured here. And there's even a few differences between that game and this one. So even though Nintendo copy-pasted a bunch of the levels from like older games when they were creating this one, as speedrunners, we cannot copy-paste the strategies. Because the physics were changed, we actually do have to go looking for our own ways through each of these levels. You'll see that pretty clearly in this next one, which is a throwback to 1-4 from the original Mario Bros. Game. If you've seen speedruns of that, you'll notice that they don't have to slow down. They just run on through and they know Bowser's movements based on the frame rule that they've hit. We are not so lucky. We have to play a small little waiting game here, wait for these fire bars to go through, thank you for letting us through, and our Bowser is completely RNG. So this is the first spot in the run where, there we go, Bowser gave me the worst possible pattern, and that one always kills you, so unfortunately we have to play it again. But our Bowser is completely RNG. Oh shoot, chat, please help me keep track of deaths. I am notoriously bad at counting them, so if you could help me count them to make sure I donate my fair share at the end of this run, that would be much appreciated. So that is death number 1. Please help me keep track. So our Bowser is RNG. See that? Look at that. That was such a nice pattern. He did one fireball, it was way up high. Why couldn't he do that every time? But Bowser doesn't always like to cooperate, and he knows that because we met the kill the Bowser incentive already, which is blowing my mind, we're gonna give him some payback at the end of this game. So he knows what's coming, that's why he did that move. Again, this game is the first few worlds of this game, because it's about teaching the player how to make levels. Well, in order to make levels, you have to know how to play them first. So this game starts with a tutorial type world, and it's going to keep doing some tutorials for these next few as well. So this first one was just, Here's how Mario moves. Here's how Mario works. This next one's going to be our first underwater level, making sure that we as the player know how to deal with underwater mechanics. Now, the good news is Nintendo decided to mix things up a bit. They also put in some level inspiration. One thing that you can make when you're making your own custom Mario levels is ones with pixel art. So in this case, the creator has used in-game objects to recreate sprites from the game itself. Now, please see with me the irony of Nintendo recreating sprites of the sprites that they themselves created, but you know, it's their game, they can do whatever they'd like. And to keep it interesting, it's not just a museum tour where we're going by and seeing the different sprite art, we're actually having to dodge these underwater Goombas, because underwater Goombas are a thing in this game. So they sprinkled a few of those into tight corridors to make sure we still actually had to play the game in order to advance. This next one is going to be our first level from the Super Mario Bros. 3 theme. So we've seen ones from the original Super Mario Bros., we've seen one from New Super Mario Bros. U. Here's where we're getting our first throwback level into Super Mario Bros. 3. This is actually from the desert world in that game, but this game does not have sort of world or theme specific backgrounds. We've got overworld, subworld, but not too much beyond that. We've got Ghost House, I guess, too. And so in order to still keep that desert theme, they tried to use the right color blocks to make these pyramids, but there's only so much they could do with the constraints that they had. Here we're picking up a leaf power-up, and if you're not familiar with that one, what it does is it lets you fly once you've gotten enough top speed for a short amount of time. We're also going to pick up a P-switch, which is going to let us turn this mess of blocks into coins so we can skip on through them and get to the pipe. The game will officially teach us about the leaf power-up and the P-switch in a later level, or actually 2 different later levels, but because we're speedrunners and we know what we're doing, we can take advantage of them here to keep going fast. This next level will be familiar if you played the original Mario Brothers or if you're a fan of Mario 35. Mario 35 was a limited time game that came out last year to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary, and this level was probably the most played level in existence that brief window of time where it was available. This is the original 1-2, and this was often chosen in Mario 35 because of its versatility and how many coins and items it offered, and as well because at the end of it, it will let you choose 3 different routes and different warps to skip to. Unfortunately, this game has 0 warps. There are no warps in this game. We actually have to play every single level all the way through. It does not mean we don't have some shortcuts and fun tricks up our sleeve, but we do have to play all 88 levels in this mode sequentially. So there's 100 levels in the game, 88 of them are in this story mode. We've got a long ways to go. This next level though is pretty tricky, so Jen, if you wouldn't mind talking about P-switches, that would be awesome.
It would be my pleasure, Charbunny. Alright, so we have 2-4 coming up, which has some pretty tight platforming and timing, which is why I'm taking over the comms on behalf of Charbunny. This whole level is designed around teaching the player how P-switches work, and if you have played Mario games in the past, you might know that P-switches turn blocks into coins and coins into blocks. This first screen, we kind of just have to take it casually and play as intended while we wait for those blocks at the bottom to turn back into coins and progress on to the next screen. This next screen is really interesting. There is this P-switch that drops, and normally, as you can see, that lava at the bottom is really scary. And normally you're supposed to use that P-switch to turn those coins into blocks so that you can run over the lava safely, not fall in. But because we're speedrunners, we're too cool for that. We have to take some risks. So normally you want to grab the P-switch, and what Charbunny is going to be doing is taking the P-switch with her to the end of the level to do a certain skip that we will be seeing. And it means that she has to do this really scary platforming over the tops of these blocks. There's going to be a big pyramid of blocks coming up at the end of the level. Here it is. She's using the P-switch to turn all those blocks into coins. Normally you would have to climb all the way to the top of that pyramid. It takes forever. But by bringing the P-switch with her, she's able to completely avoid all of that nonsense. And here we are actually doing what Nintendo wants us to do. We're using the P-switch normally, and then we can use the blocks that exist to completely avoid the Bowser fight and send him to his death.
Bye, Bowser. See you later. Yeah, for the most part in this game, we do try to skip any of the Bowsers if we can, because fighting Bowsers is generally slow, but again, because you all donated, we're actually going to fight the final Bowser in this game, which is an extremely rare occurrence that's going to be pretty fun to do. Thank you, Jen, for covering that one. All right, we're moving on to World 3. World 3, again, we're still sort of in tutorial mode, so it's going to be a couple more throwback levels, and it's because the original Mario Brothers actually had some really slick level design. Especially 1-1 from the original Mario Brothers is often heralded as an excellent first level in that it teaches the player all the required mechanics without having to actually tell them how the game works, so it's a really cool setup. So they're going to bring another level back, this time 1-3 from the original Mario Brothers game. And what's funny is in this one, it's 3-1. They just switched the numbers. They didn't really do too much else. They only kind of tried to switch it up. But for us, it thankfully ends up being a fairly short level. This is one we can just sort of run through. In fact, this belongs to a type of level in this game that I like to call run and jump levels, or if I get it mixed up with Cuphead, I'll sometimes call them run and gun levels, even though Mario does not have a gun in this game. I'll call them run and jump levels because really in speedrunning, all you're focusing on is holding right and run, and then hitting the jump at certain points in the level to dodge enemies. There's not a lot of optimization you can do. You generally don't lose time unless you make a big mistake. This next level is another example of that, although this one looks really cute. So Nintendo shows off a bit in this one with their aesthetic skills, where they actually use in-game items to turn this entire level into a cute little city. We're going over a bridge, we're going through a tower, we pass some buildings at the beginning, we actually have a waterfall right here, and then there's some trees at the end. And it's really cute how Nintendo sets this all up. But as speedrunners, unfortunately, I can't stop to smell the roses. I do just have to go straight through it, so you'll have to explore it on your own time if you have this game. It is a really pretty level, though. There's like little birds that you can find that will chirp at the top of the tower. It's so cute. This next level also has a different background, but only because, like I said earlier, this game only supports certain types of background themes. So this next level is a throwback to 3-1 from the original Mario Brothers game. And in the original Mario Brothers game, this was in a nighttime type theme where the background was black because, oh shit, I just missed that jump entirely, because the level was played sort of at nighttime. Well, this game does not actually have a nighttime theme. This game, or nighttime themes were not added to Mario Maker until Mario Maker 2 came out. And so instead of keeping this as an overworld level, but with the, bright blue clouds and all the cheerfulness that that implies, Nintendo chose to put this one into the subworld theme so that it could keep that iconic black background without changing too much else about the level. So that's why this one looks a little bit different than you might remember from your childhood. This is also a level that showed up in Mario 35 because Mario 35 had all of the original Mario Brothers levels, and this next level, even though it did not show up in Mario 35, it is not a throwback level, really reminds me of that game. And that's because until that game came out, this level had the most lakitus I had ever seen in a Mario game ever. We won't see that too much until the second section. In this first section though, I'm gonna do something I don't normally do and try to grab a power-up called a weird mushroom. I never go for this because I actually hate this power-up. But here you go. I apologize if this causes any nightmares. This is Weird Mario. He showed up only in Mario Maker. He is essentially a worse version of a Luigi/Mario where he's got a higher jump, he has a little flutter in midair, and it's really frustrating because they didn't put Luigi in this game. They instead gave us this abomination that you can play through in a couple select levels in this game. Usually I would not get Weird Mario, I would actually get a mushroom in this room instead. This level does have some randomness in it, so it's good to have a safety mushroom in case these fireballs get out of hand. Here's where you can see all of those lakitus on screen at once. It's an absolute mess. But the good news is by staying on the left side of the screen and getting the safety mushroom, we're usually baiting the fireballs toward the side of the screen while they'll leave early, putting us in less danger. Now I mentioned safety mushrooms. So a safety mushroom in this game is just a mushroom that you get that wasn't required. So in this case, I never had to use this mushroom, the weird one or the regular one, for any particular purpose. It was just something I picked up for safety. Now safety mushrooms cost half a second because the power-up, or the animation of Mario getting a power-up, costs half a second of real time. Now it doesn't cost any in-game time, but since real world does not pause when Mario gets a mushroom, it still takes time out of this category. This category runs in real time, so safety mushrooms are very much a risk-reward trade-off with exactly a half-second cost. Of course, if you die because you didn't have one, the cost balances change dramatically, so for certain levels with RNG, it is a good idea to grab them. This next world is going to teach us all about flying. This is another one that's a throwback level from Mario 3. Feel free to spot the difference. This one's pretty subtle, so keep your eyes peeled for what changed between the original and this one. There's the first change. Blink and you miss it, you might not have noticed it. Here it is coming up again. There we go. In case you didn't know, there were not stacks of 20 Goombas in the original version of this level. That was a special thing Nintendo added it in. And they added it into this level to try to force you actually to get the leaf power-up in this level. But if you remember all the way back to 2-2, we already got the leaf power-up. And because we know how to skip those enemies with very precise jumps, we actually never need to get it. But this level, or 4-1, was intended to teach you about the leaf flying power-up. Our next level is going to bring us to another iconic flying power-up, this time the cape from Super Mario World. If you haven't seen this one, basically I'm just tilting Mario forward and backward. If I do it in a specific rhythm, I can actually gain height. If I do it in different rhythms, I can do big swoopy motions, I can lose height, kind of whatever. In a lot of the levels that are tutorial based where Nintendo isn't sure if the player will have encountered a mechanic before, they'll actually put these giant trails of coins. And in this one, we even get like celebratory fireworks and children cheering for us to let us know that we're doing a good job. So thanks, Nintendo, for cheering us on. But as speedrunners, we don't always follow those coin trails. So they're nice to have, but here I'm actually going to jump later than the coins indicate because I can hit top speed sooner than the game was intending for me to and get these swoops without having to slow down and go back and forth like the game would have originally planned. So that's 2 of our flying power-ups. We're about to hit the 3rd, the propeller. Jen, can you tell everyone about the propeller power-up?
Sure thing, Charbunny. All right, this next level, 4-3, is pretty long, and it's made even worse by the fact that it's all about the propeller, which is that power-up from the new Super Mario Bros. Games, where you would shake your Wiimote and send Mario shooting upwards to the sky. And I, for one, think that's super fun casually, but from a speedrunner perspective, propeller movement has some quirks that make it pretty annoying. I'm gonna try to explain those quirks as Charbunny progresses through the level. But as she's progressing through the level, I want you guys to keep an eye out for how she's landing on platforms. She is going to want to avoid overshooting her platforms vertically at all costs. It's really, really harmful if she goes up too high, and the reason for that is based on those propeller movement mechanics I mentioned. So propellers allow Mario to spin upwards quickly, which is great, and allows us to go pretty quickly and reach new heights. But the flip side of that is after he reaches his peak height, he twirls down super duper slowly. And as speedrunners, we want to avoid that. So Charbunny is going to avoid that by holding down and forcing Mario to drill straight downward at high speeds. And as she goes through the rest of the level here, again, these coin trails are trying to show us where to go. She's going to be doing a series of triple jumps here. Nothing too scary, just some donuts and Goombas standing in our way as she goes on to the last screen.
There we go. Yeah, this level has a ton of Goomba stacks, and actually if you're playing it casually, it's really fun to try to line up your drill to go through all of the Goombas at once. As a speedrunner, it's a little bit annoying because they get in the way all too often, but we were able to make it through. Our last level is going to show us the last flying mechanic in the game, but it's actually not a power-up. This is something that only exists in the new Super Mario Bros. U theme, and it's called a twirl. So the input I was doing to do those spins with the propeller is left or right bumper on my 3DS. If I do those without a propeller in midair, I will actually get what's called a twirl. So you'll see one here, twirl, twirl, twirl. I'll do some more right here, twirl. And it makes, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of a ballet. Like Mario's just sort of gracefully twirling through midair. And this brings up an important point where even though the physics are the same across all 4 themes offered in this game, the mechanics offered are not. So only the new Super Mario Bros. Theme includes things like twirling and ground pounding, and every theme except for the original Mario Brothers will allow you to pick up items. So even though the physics stay the same, certain mechanics are only available to certain game modes, which is a good thing to keep in mind. Well, with that, we sort of finished the tutorial worlds. That was sort of all the worlds that are designed to teach you just about basic game mechanics. Jen, how are you feeling? How do you feel about your Mario knowledge after that introduction?
I'm feeling pretty solid. I have a question for you, Charbunny. Chat is going crazy over Weird Mario. He is a lanky boy. And I want to know, does Weird Mario make any other appearances in the Mario franchise, to your knowledge?
I don't think they brought him back for Mario Maker 2. To my knowledge, this is the only game that they brought him in.
That's
and interestingly,
so sad, or maybe good.
Depends on your perspective. Interestingly as well, in normal levels, it's a random chance whether or not the mushroom will turn into a Weird Mario mushroom. In this game mode, it's always consistent, so I will always get weird mushrooms at specific locations. Which is, again, good or bad depending on your view of that character. But here we go, we're in World 5. World 5 is all about springs. And here you can see that springs can be turned sideways. And what's terrifying about that is sideways springs will launch Koopas at high velocity toward Mario, or if I missed any of those very tight jumps, it will launch Mario at high velocity back toward the Koopas. Neither of those are good. Both of those things usually result in death, so I'm glad we got all of those little tiny corner jumps that we were aiming for. This entire world is actually going to be in the Super Mario World theme, because Super Mario World had the most versatility when it comes to items. This is the only theme where you can actually throw items upwards. And one thing we're going to be seeing a couple levels from now is the introduction and the speed run of what are called Kaizo tricks. We would have had the option to do one here, but this one is very deadly. We're going to skip it and just do some basic stuff instead, but I'll talk about them more when we get to them in 5.3. Here you can see Mario actually pick up an item for the first time. He does know how to use his hands. And here we're going to stack these springs on top of each other so that we can skip the level and not have to play the rest of it. Now, I wanted to put your attention to the left side of your screen where you'll see 7 springs over there. You would have to take those 6 ones that are in a group and manually stack them on top of each other to form an elevator to finish this level as intended. Thank goodness Nintendo included a shortcut, because that is absolutely miserable, I guarantee it. So this next level is also going to involve springs. This one, I like to think of the spring that we're going to get as like a companion cube. We're going to pick up one spring that we're going to use multiple times throughout the level and bring it with us almost to the end. We don't drop it in lava like you do the actual companion cube, but we do have to leave it behind before the end. I'm going to be going for a Kaizo trick here called a spring jump. I've got 3 chances to get it. That was my first one, but I missed it, so that's okay. And the nice thing about the route that I've picked is that even if I miss them, we're not really in any danger. It's just a pure optimization if I can land them. What those are is they're jumps, I'm not landing them today, that's okay. They're jumps in midair where I would drop the spring and then in midair while the spring is falling, jump off of it a second time to get extra distance on my jump. That's a very useful thing to shortcut this level, and this level actually has multiple alternate routes using different Kaizo tricks. So here I actually could have brought that bomb down, done a bomb spin jump to get this P-switch, but instead we're going to take the spring because it makes the end of this level way safer. What we're going to do is we're going to use that shortcut we created in those blocks by taking out that coin early to try to race this P-switch timer and get to this set of blocks before they despawn, letting us skip a couple more pipes in this level. Here's where, yeah, spring jumps just aren't working for me, that's okay. Here's where we're going to use the spring that we brought with us to get over the top of the course. You could also pick up a shell from one of those Koopas and do a shell jump to make it across. And if for some reason I had missed the P-switch timer, I would have had to do that strategy. I had to practice it the other day, so I'm glad I didn't have to try to do that live, because that one, shells like to kill you if you miss them, whereas springs are very friendly about letting you retry things. This next level 5-4 is actually not about springs, so it's kind of odd that it's in this world, but it's going to be teaching us about scroll speeds. So this is an auto-scroller, and you can see here the screen is actually moving really fast. Even with Mario running at top speed, he's not really keeping up all that well. Whereas in this next room where we're having a slower scroll speed, try saying that 5 times fast, I'm already at the right edge of the screen without any trouble at all. That's really the key thing that this level is trying to teach you about. It really doesn't factor into the run too much except for one later level. The biggest thing is if I run into the side of the screen on a faster speed, Mario will bounce backward, and that can actually delay me getting to a screen transition. But the biggest thing on this level for the speed run is actually that I'm going to get a star partway through. It's in my way, I have to get it, I can't avoid it. And I'm going to try to use it to kill the 3 Bowsers, yeah, because they put 3 of them, at the end of this level. And the reason it's a time save to hit the Bowsers with the star as opposed to skip them is because, like most games, if you hit the axe at the end of a castle level and Bowser is still alive, he is not a good sport. He throws a hissy fit, he waves his arms around, he growls at you, and it wastes a ton of time. Whereas by taking out those Bowsers with a star, I actually save that time back. I don't have to wait through Bowser's temper tantrum in order to progress onward. One thing that you might have noticed already, but that's very important to call out, is that unlike most Mario games, I cannot keep my power up between levels. Every level starts as small Mario, which definitely increases the chances of dying in this game, but also helps explain why we're not getting so many power-ups. We're really only getting required ones and potentially a few safety items. And that's because in other Mario games, it's faster to kill Bowser with fire or with hammers or with some other tool so that he doesn't throw his hissy fit, but of course it costs time to get that power-up. Well, in other games, you can recoup that cost by using the same power-up to kill multiple Bowsers, whereas in our game, because we're starting from ground zero every time, we can't do that. We usually try to skip them instead. This level is a great example of why it's scary to be small Mario all of the time. This level is completely filled with spikes, but the main point of this one is to show us that in the original Mario Brothers theme, you cannot pick up these springs. Now, we already know that, so that's not really what we're going to focus on. Instead, the thing that we have to pay attention to is this last jump here, where we're actually going to jump underneath the spring and on top of that single block, because jumping on springs slows down Mario's momentum. So as much as we can do to skip jumping on springs, we're going to try for. It definitely adds some risk to the run though, but again, that's the whole risk-reward thing of speedrunning. Every single time you get to one of those tricks, you have to make the choice. Is it worth the time save, or am I going to go for something else? This next level, I'm going to go for a cool-looking strat, just because it's fun. It's not safe, so wish me luck. I like to call it the Goomba ladder. It all depends on the jump I get off of this white block here. So I'm going to do this jump. It's a little late. Nope, there we go. If we land that jump, we can actually just sail over the top of this course, get past all of those Goombas. If we had missed it, we would be stuck below the stage with Goombas flying up around us, jumping off of note blocks, and it's an incredibly difficult one to recover. That is not my actual PB attempt strat. This is specifically for all of you watching because I think that one looks cool. There's a much safer way to play that level, but like, is it really worth it if it doesn't look awesome? I don't know about that. This next level, unfortunately, does not look awesome. This is one of our another auto-scrollers in the game, and it's very long and it's not very exciting. The only thing to mention here is this is the introduction of the donut block. Donut blocks work somewhat similar to Celeste bumpers if you've played that game, where depending on the angle that you hit them at, you'll get slightly different momentum off of each of those angles. It makes them really inconsistent to run with and frustrating to deal with, but this level is really just about mildly surviving. And so actually, I would love to get an update on the Celeste incentives. I know we've got some donation incentives for Cat Girl Madeline, which would be amazing if you missed that at the last GDQ. It's so cute. So, Netara, how are we doing on that one?
Well, good news. We got a $1,000 donation from Meridon saying, looking forward to seeing my favorite game being made even better by adding Catalan. So that brings us up to just over $1,500. So we are just over halfway to that $3,000 donation incentive. So if we can hit that $3,000 by the end of this Mario Maker run, we will be running the custom map of Quickie Mountain 2 in Celeste with Catgirl Madeline or Catalan. So I think we can all agree we really would like that. So any donations we can get, let's get them rolling in and see if we can't meet that. To go along with that, though, we have some more donations. We have $10 from East Space saying, "Go Char Bunny! Woo!" So thank you so much. And we have $20 from Liz. Thanks for supporting a great cause. Go Char Bunny, go! And last but certainly not least, we have a $20 donation from Iggy Zig. Hey Char, so psyched to see you hop through Mario Maker in an absolutely astounding time. Good luck and have fun to you and also to all runners and volunteers this week. Let's get Catgirl Madeline going on, everyone. Heart. And yes, so many hearts to everyone. We just love this cause, love this marathon. And let me tell you, Char Bunny, chat is incredibly impressed at your ability to commentate so informatively and so skilled while playing this game.
Oh, thanks, chat. That's really nice. I hope you're enjoying it. And thank you to everyone who donated. So many people in those donations were really good friends of mine, people who have been really supportive of everything. So thank you so much for that. It means so much. This is an amazing cause. I know we've talked about it a bunch today. If you caught the interview at the beginning, that was super exciting to watch. But this really does make a difference. So thank you so much for anything you can spare toward this cause. All right, our next level, thank goodness we're out of the slow one. 6-3 is really not fun. I'm sorry, I would try to hype it up, but it's not a very hype level. 6-4 though is really fun. 6-4 is the level in this game with the highest actions per minute, and that's because we're going to be trying to slide through these gaps while ducking as Tall Mario. Now the thing is, what speeds up going through these gaps is actually jumping. Somehow that makes Mario go a little bit faster, and what that involves for poor Mario is literally just slamming his head over and over into the ceiling. As a speedrunner, it's fun because I'm constantly needing to jump and push buttons, and it's very interactive, but Mario probably needs to see a doctor after this one. This cannot be good for him. And what's really sad about this setup is this level completely destroys Mario's cranium, definitely has some brain damage. The next level is when Nintendo, or the next world in fact, the entire next world is when Nintendo was like, you know, maybe we should give Mario a helmet. You think, Nintendo? So the entire next world is dedicated to the Shellmet item. The Shellmet is an item that is a combination of a shell and a helmet. So it's a helmet that is a shell. Pretty straightforward. They can be either based on Buzzy Beetles, which will be a smooth dome top, or they can be based on Spinies, in which case they'll have little spikes on them. Most of this next world is going to be the Buzzy Beetle variety. Now the key thing with Shellmets, as you might have already guessed, is that they protect your head. In this first level, we're going to try to pick one up, but there's actually two different routes based on whether or not we get this jump. So we got the Shellmet, which means we're going to try to do the slightly faster route. But here you can see it in action. These chain chomps would normally be trying to hit me in the head, but because I have this Shellmet, they're actually going to completely miss me. I'm not in danger at all from them for the rest of this level. Now I'm still in danger if I run into something from the front. Mario's face is still very vulnerable, but the top of his head is protected. And we're going to see that as well on this next level. This next level is where Nintendo goes, okay, did you figure out how Shellmets work yet? Are you sure? Let's make sure you know how Shellmets work. So for this next one, it's going to be a bunch of enemies, traditional Mario Maker level. It's a bunch of enemies stacked on top of each other with the required shellmet that you pick up as you go into the subworld, which is going to be showing you that this shellmet will protect you from all sorts of enemy projectiles. So here's our first stack of enemies. It's kind of nice and small, not too much going on here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep pace with this Magic Koopa magic, and if I stay at about 45 degrees from that Magic Koopa, if you picture a little triangle between the Magic Koopa, myself, and that mole, that's about what I'm trying to set up with. The only scary part of the beginning is right here when all the enemies fall down, because all of their angles will change, and that can actually get you hit with something you weren't expecting. The second part of this level, though, is where we get my absolute favorite character in the game, and that is this secret one-up mushroom. Everyone, please say hi to Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Thank you.
Hi, Bob.
Thanks. Bob the one-up mushroom is our only ally in this entire journey. You may notice that there are no toads in any of these castles. There's no letters from Peach. No, all we've got is Bob. But when I say all we've got is Bob, we've got Bob. Bob is epic. You see all these enemies trying to destroy us with flames and fire and madness? No, Bob's just chilling with us that entire time. He's just on our side, giving us that emotional and moral support. It's really important to find those people in your life who you can count on for that emotional and moral support. And in this game, that is Bob. So shout outs to Bobs everywhere who give people that support that they need. Unfortunately, that's it for Bob. He doesn't come back in the run. We finished with the Bob level, kind of sad. We're back to more just shellmet action. So this one is actually an optional shellmet, but the ending of this level is going to be Hammer Brothers, and Hammer Brothers are one of the few sources of RNG in this game. Well, at the end of a level, you really don't want to see RNG, but that's what's here. So instead, we're going to get a shellmet, and that's going to keep us safe as we go through this last Hammer Brother. Now, the dangerous part of this is that brings us into a damage boost, which puts Mario into this blinking in and out of existence animation. That means Mario is half invisible as I'm climbing up that broken staircase, which makes that last sequence of jumps absolutely terrifying. I actually use the position of the screen scroll more than I look at Mario's specific location in order to track his progress there, but thankfully made it through there without a problem. One of the other cool things about shellmets is that they're a free power-up. And what I mean by that is when I talked about safety mushrooms all the way back in 3.4, I mentioned that when you pick up a mushroom, the game freezes for half a second. So getting a mushroom will lose you half a second in real time. Well, as you've seen as I picked up these shellmets don't count the same way. Shellmets are absolutely free. They do not stop the timer, they do not stop the clock, they do not freeze time. I got a really precise checkpoint skip there that saves 0.5 seconds because it skips the mushroom, and that makes them one of the best and most useful power-ups in the game. Unfortunately, there's only a few spots where we'll be able to pick them up, but anytime we can get a shellmet like that for free, oh, it feels so good. Definitely a bonus to the run, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Not too many opportunities, but they're always nice when they happen. This is a good point too to talk about what it means that I'm playing any percent instead of other categories. So I'm playing, as I've said, any percent. What this means is that while I do need to beat every single level because there is no way to skip them, I do not have to get any of the medal challenges in the levels. Medal challenges are optional challenges that add some difficulty to the level, and they're similar to if you played Mario Maker 2, the clear conditions from that game, only, again, they're optional. Each level will have two, a Goomba level 1 and a Bowser level 1. You can see them on screen here if you look quickly. Now for any percent, I don't have to get any of those, but I am allowed to get as many of them as I possibly want to. And there are some that as speedrunners, we will naturally get. Some of the medal challenges include things like beat the level within a certain time frame. And as speedrunners, we always beat the level within that time frame or something went horribly wrong. As a speedrunner, if you are running any percent, it is important to get all of the optional medals that you plan to get in a run ahead of time, because anytime you get a new medal, there is a animation that will play that will lose you a few seconds, and it's really sad when, like, I've seen people on good pace before, they'll suddenly get a medal they haven't gotten before, and it'll just be like, oh no, random 2-3 second time loss. So good PSA if you're running this game, make sure you've got your medals all sorted out. But again, we don't have to get any of them. For this level though, we actually might get the 100%. We are going to definitely get one of the medals, and that's because we're going to go through this level's optional sub area. Now, while this area right here has sort of the underground theme, the subworld is actually considered whenever you go through a pipe. So we're technically in the subworld even though it doesn't look like it. And going through the subworld version of this level is actually one of the medal challenges. Now, what's really cool about the subworld is we get this giant boot. It's a really cool item. I absolutely loved it casually. It's from the Mario 3 games. But as you can see, this isn't really the best level for it. The boot control's pretty slippery, where it's constantly jumping every time it hits the ground, meaning you can actually miss your jump inputs if you're not careful. And in addition to that, it kind of has ice physics, where it likes to slide back and forth when you land on things. And as you can see, the things that we have to land on in this level are floating enemies above a giant death pit, spaced out at different intervals apart, getting increasingly smaller as the level progresses. This is definitely not the safer way to do this level, but it is a whopping 1 second faster, so we go this way. Check out this hitbox as well. Mario's hitbox when he's in his shoe is actually lower than you might expect. His head is actually not part of his hitbox, so I can have those enemies fly right through my head and take no damage as a result. I think we're gonna get it. I said we might get the extra medal. The other one is getting 2 1-ups, so if we go this route and get the 2 1-ups there, we actually did complete the 100% requirement for this level, which is not disallowed. This is not low percent, but it's not required for any percent. Other runners do choose to go through the bottom route because, again, the top route saves a whopping single second, and it is quite a bit more dangerous. So there's another risk-reward trade-off you can make in this game. That level's actually, I made it look like it was okay. Hopefully I explained why it was not. And on my first casual playthrough, I died there so many times. And I know that Nintendo knows that they made a mistake with that level and that it was way harder than it should have been, because this level right here, the one right after it, is entirely a bonus level. This level is all about getting coins if you're playing it casually, getting a bunch of extra lives, basically recovering from the mess that was the shoe with the... It's a whole mess of a level. But what's interesting is that even though this level is an auto-scroller, as a speedrun, it's actually pretty interactive. So the thing with auto-scrollers is you always want to get to the screen transitions as quickly as possible. Now, in this fast scroll speed, that's really difficult to do, because if you get to the side of the screen too soon, like that, I would actually, or like this, there we go, I'm actually bouncing off the side of it. Instead, I want to arrive at the side of the screen right when the pipe or the door or the next object spawns, like I did there. The way that we do that is we have specific visual indicators that we line up. So here I'm going to stand underneath this row of coins and watch for the second long part of the arrow to go through the side of the screen, and that's my cue to start running. That lines it up so that I get to this pipe as soon as it spawns and don't lose any time from bouncing off the side of the screen due to the way that the scroll speed works. This is actually, auto-scroller ILs are somewhat of a meme. This one is not. This is like a legit challenge if you want to take it on. But the good news is we're done with that auto-scroller, at least we can move on. This next level is from a previous Mario game that I have not mentioned yet, so I'm gonna wait till the end of the level to reveal which one it is. If you wanna flex your Mario knowledge in chat, please feel free to guess which game this is from. This is one of our other opportunities where we could have gotten a weird mushroom. It's right there if you want to get it casually, but nope, we don't need to get it. Instead, we're gonna get a star. Now, I got a star earlier, but I didn't really talk about it. You can see that I had to slow down quite a bit to pick that star up. I had to wait for it to spawn. I had to sort of chill there for it to come down to my level, but turns out stars are so fast in this game that they tend to make up the amount of time it takes to get them. So in a couple levels in this game where stars are offered, we generally do end up getting them because they save so much time that it makes up for the delay in actually obtaining the item. Here's where I'll reveal the answer. Feel free to celebrate if you guessed. That was actually from the Lost Levels game, which was the sequel to the original Mario Brothers game that was not originally released in the US because it was considered too hard for American audiences for a long time. It did eventually come out as part of the All-Stars series, so you would have had a chance to play it, but yeah, they put it pretty late in this game as a result. It did live up to its difficulty. This level, speaking of difficulty, is terrifying. I'm going to be going for a pretty intense sequence of jumps here to save just a few seconds. Almost didn't get them. Re-grabbed the vine, wasn't trying to do that. And this level does have a lot of close corners. This is a good point to call out that the spike boxes in Mario Maker 1 and Mario Maker 2 are different. That was one of the changes they made between the two games. The spike hitboxes in this game are slightly more lenient, which is what makes some of those skips in this level possible. This level would be much either more challenging or just flat out impossible with those strategies in Mario Maker 2. So 8-6 is the level where I usually really want to go for 100%. So this is a level where I try to get both medals. The medals in this game being get 3 extra lives and get 6 extra lives. The way that we do that is by racking up a combo, where by jumping on a bunch of enemies without touching the ground, we will eventually start to get extra lives from them. You can also do this by using 1 shell to kill multiple enemies, 1 star to kill multiple enemies, 1 fireball. There's lots of ways to do this. In this level, it just is jumping because there's no other power-up available to us. Now again, I don't need to do this, but I mostly do this because if I don't have a route for an auto-scroller, I tend to try to start freestyling, and it turns out my freestyling usually ends up with me in the lava, so I'd like to have a set route through this level even though it isn't required, just to give myself something to focus on and not get distracted. But there we go, we have now finished 8 whole worlds in this game. That would normally be enough for a full Mario game, but no, we've got 18 here, so we got a ways to go. Jen, you hanging in there with me? How are you feeling?
You are doing such a phenomenal job. Chat is just speaking your praises. They're singing your praises right now. You're doing so well, Tarbunny. I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm doing the other side of the heart. You can't see. I'm not like him, but I'm doing
Teamwork.
it. What is the world record for this category?
Right, the world record for this category is a 148, I think 25, and it's kind of sad that I don't remember the exact number because I said it just a few weeks ago. Actually, during a race with the former world record holder, we occasionally run races between some of the top runners in this game, and this is now the second time during a race that one of the racers has taken the world record from the other one. So I feel a little bad about that, but it was a really fun race. Shout outs to Juice ACD, who held the world record for a little bit before me. He actually stole it from me during a race as well, so it was kind of payback. But myself, Juice ACD, and Palongsi are the top 3 runners of this game. We have a lot of fun going back and forth. The record changes hands pretty frequently, so makes for a lot of good competition. Really do enjoy it. It turns out practicing for a marathon, though, also makes you practice for real life. So it was a helpful thing to do. Would encourage you to enter marathons as a way to practice your own game mechanics. Maybe not the most practical advice, but it is fun. This level we sort of just breezed through. This is a copy of the first airship from Super Mario Bros. 3. Unlike that game, though, we don't actually have to fight a Koopaling at the end of the level. Koopalings were not introduced until Mario Maker 2, and in fact not until later in that game's life cycle, one of those two things. And in this game, it's a Bowser Jr. that's completely optional, so we just skip him. There's nothing we really have to do there, so why not? It's faster not to fight anyone. This level in particular reminds me of one of my favorite game series of all time, and that is Luigi's Mansion, because not only does it have an army of boos everywhere, but there's enemies and paintings that are going to come out and attack us. That feels like such classic Luigi's Mansion to me. I absolutely love this level. Unfortunately, it's over very quickly because it is just sort of one of those run and jump levels. We don't get to spend too much time there, but hopefully other people like Luigi's Mansion as well. Maybe that brief cameo will make you smile. I don't think we unfortunately get to see it in this marathon, but it is a really cool speed game as well. This next level, speaking of some of the top runners in this game, this next level is one of the ones with a really competitive IL that's gone back and forth between multiple different runners. And that's because while this level is intended as a tutorial for a mechanic I haven't talked about yet, which is the wall jump, basically in the new Super Mario Bros. U theme, Mario can jump off of walls. Ta-da, there we go. And we get our traditional coin routes here. You're going to see that we skip a lot of them. This level actually has a ton of room for optimization relative to other levels in the game. In general, the new Super Mario Bros. U levels, with their expanded set of Mario mechanics, tend to have some of the biggest room for optimization. And since the optimizations in these levels are really small things like cutting corners super closely, managing your jump heights really effectively, these ones tend to go back and forth quite a bit as everyone works to just eke out that next little second from the run. ILs are measured in-game time, meaning that they are only measured on a second boundary. So unless you save a full second or you get to the next second boundary over someone else, you don't actually get a new time. Speaking of how ILs are measured, this next level has a different route for the individual level versus the RTA time that we're doing here. And it's not for safety reasons, it's actually because of the way the in-game timer works. So I'm gonna go by a pipe at the top of this level here. It's not gonna be there for very long. So watch the top of your screen, there's the pipe up there. That actually does lead to a shortcut through the subworld. But the trick is going into a pipe while it freezes the in-game time and therefore is a free action when you're doing an individual level run. It, again, does not freeze real time. I don't suddenly pause in midair whenever I go into a pipe, and so it takes 3 seconds of real time to go into a pipe. Well, for any time you go into a pipe, you have to come out of one too, so that brings the total up to 6 seconds. So even though the individual level time is 4 seconds faster than what I just showed you with my route, it's actually 2 seconds slower because of that math differential. Here we get our next auto-scroller, but this is a really coolly designed one in that it's using the Super Mario Brothers 1, or the original Super Mario Brothers airship theme, which never existed in the original Super Mario Brothers. Airships were added in Super Mario Brothers 3, I believe. So instead, they actually retrofitted the entire Mario mechanical world to fit this theme. They were able to add different designs for objects. They were able to add a different 8-bit theme that you might hear, except you probably won't because I'm talking. It's really cool. I absolutely love the aesthetic of this level. Quick to note, I'm getting the red coins just again to keep myself out of trouble. I will not be using them to open the door at the end of the level. And since it is an auto-scroller, you know what, Netara, I would love to hear how we're doing on donations.
Absolutely. We're getting quite a few donations here, a lot towards you. We are still working towards that Catalan donation incentive. Currently, we are at $1,617 out of a needed $3,000. So we still have until the end of this run to meet that. So let's do that, folks. In the meantime, we do have some wonderful donations. We have $500 from Char Papa saying, "Awesome run, Char Bunny." So thank you so much.
Bye, Dad. I love you.
We have $50 from Shelty, who was the previous runner for Pokemon Leaf Green, saying, "Thank you to everyone for the support for my Leaf Green run. Love from me and Trixie." Thank you. We have $10 from Failed Uplink saying, "Woo, Genie Q, here's a donation for a great cause and death to Yoshi." And that brings up, we have a Save or Kill Yoshi bid war. And that is currently greatly tilted in the side of Save Yoshi, which is at $527, where we have Kill Yoshi, which is only at $160. I think we can do a little better than that, don't you, Score Bunny?
I think we definitely can. Come on, chat. We'll talk about Yoshi a bit and why he's a menace to society when we get to World 10. But please consider looking at that donation. When you make your donations, please remember to choose an incentive. You can do that while you're submitting your donations. It will then apply it to something like Cackerel Madeline, or importantly, to killing Yoshi and saving time. That is a time save if I get to kill Yoshi, so if you want me to go fast, you may want to help with that.
And if you just interrupt, if you have donated and you forgot to link it to something, let us know in chat or whisper one of the mods, or if you're in the Frame Fatale server, let us know, because we can put that towards a donation incentive. So just let us know.
Absolutely. We want to see all of these incentives met. There are so many cool things today. All the runners have been preparing. It's been cool to see everyone practice. We all really do want to show off our games. So the more you can donate to those incentives, that's going to really help us out, please. It's all for a great cause. This level happens to be another one that's brought over from Super Mario Bros. 3. We don't spend too much time in it. There's some scary parts, but I didn't land in them, so we're good to go. We can just keep rolling. This next level is the first example of what I like to call a platform scroller level. So a platform scroller is a level that works like an auto scroller in that Mario can only move so fast. The game doesn't want him to go top speed. But in this case, it's because the only way for Mario to make progress in the level is by standing on one of these platforms. So even though the level itself is not scrolling automatically, because I need to stay on these platforms in order to progress, you can see there's not a lot else for me to do in this level besides wait on this platform, they kind of end up feeling like auto-scrollers. Now the biggest difference between an auto-scroller and a platform scroller is that usually at the very end of each section of the level, I can do one single giant death-defying leap to try to save just a little bit of time. So this level's death-defying jumps, I'm doing very safe versions of them. So you'll see me jump off of the platform when I get to certain spots to save a little bit of time. However, in 15-4, which is a level that will be coming up much later, I will be going for full skips in that auto-scroller, which is a terrifying prospect, but I would like to try to show it off, so you'll have to wish me luck when we get there. I'll ask for your energy, but this one tends to be fairly safe. The jumps have a pretty big margin for error if you're going for the safe version, so not too much to worry about there. And that closes us out of World 9, so we're definitely making progress through. The halfway point of the run, by the way, is 10-2, so we're only 2 levels away from halfway. Please make sure, by the way, that you are staying hydrated and stretching. This is a long run. Would not want anyone falling over during this one. It's a toasty day where I'm living, so make sure you're taking care of yourself. Now this next level, speaking of taking care of yourself, this next level is a throwback level, but what's the best word to describe this? I'm gonna go with revolutionary. This next level was revolutionary, and I am stunned that it doesn't get more attention in the Mario community because it's just so unique and different. So the first part of this level is fine, but we're gonna go through a pipe and then everything's gonna be backwards. Make sure you're sitting down, maybe hold the hands of your loved ones just in case. Deep breath, here we go. We're going left. We're in a Mario game, we're in a platforming game, we're going left, that's progress. I'm not going backwards, I promise I'm going forwards. I don't even know what's happening anymore. What the heck is this level? Oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. This feels so weird. Okay, it's done. We're good. Everyone can breathe again. We are back to going right. Okay, everyone, deep breath on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, we're good. We are back to going right. Everything is right in the world. Everything's back to normal. I hope you made it through that. I apologize for that content on stream. I hope everyone's okay. But this level, just a very unique level in the Mario world for that section in particular. It also happens to be a unique level because in theory we could have gotten a boot power up in that level. That level was filled with spinies and munchers and other things that Mario can't normally stand on, but because we know how to jump very effectively through that level, we can actually skip that power up. However, Nintendo figured out you can skip the power up there and decided, now you need to learn how to use this one. So this is the level where we actually cannot progress without getting a boot. So we're gonna grab one here. I grabbed a safety mushroom at the beginning, I'll talk about later. But one of the cool things about the boot is that it lets Mario do a ground pound even if he's not in the new Super Mario Bros. U theme. So here I'm gonna do a ground pound, and if you looked carefully, you could actually see spooky ghosts coming out from my ground pound through the wall to kill the Goomba in the other boot in order to get me a key to get out of that room. I then immediately ditched the boot because it's a little bit difficult to control. There is a path through this level that keeps it, but instead we're just gonna do that super scary jump first try and then we're good to go. Now the reason I kept this mushroom is because the end of this level has Sludge Brothers, which are just larger versions of Hammer Brothers. And once again, if you hear Hammer Brothers in this game, immediately you should be thinking RNG. The ending of this level does require you to do something to get through them. You can either grab that boot there or like I do, grab the mushroom at the beginning. The mushroom is the faster one because you can get it while you're waiting for the first boot to spawn. And actually the IL even gets the mushroom because it is, or the boot, I actually don't remember, I think it's the mushroom. Because the mushroom is a free action in the IL because it pauses the in-game timer. So mushroom, very, very useful in that level. It's technically for safety, but realistically it's required. This next level is actually the first time we see a Super Mario World level. There's not actually that many of them in the game, which means that we get to see a classic, I'm gonna say faux, there is Yoshi. That is our first appearance of Yoshi. We will actually see more of him in the next level, but we don't need him for this level, and if we don't need Yoshi, why would we get him, right, Jen? We don't need Yoshi.
Oh my god, I don't know how to deal with this Yoshi hate.
Well, you're on the team Kill the Yoshi, right? Like, we talked about this.
What? I thought you knew me.
Are you
No,
not?
we gotta save Yoshi.
Wait, what? I invited you on my couch. I brought you in my house. What are you doing?
Top 10 anime betrayals.
What is this betrayal?
I was going to say,
okay, maybe.
speaking of another top 10 anime betrayal, we got $100 from Queen Kathleen, who said, killing is bad unless it's a Texas cockroach. And that did go towards saving Yoshi. Just want to know.
No, that's my mom. That hurts even more. I mean, thank you, Mom, for donating. I love you too, but like, really though? Okay, maybe I can convince everyone and explain why Yoshi's such a problem. I promise I wasn't born hating Yoshi. I started speedrunning this game and then that bred my hatred of Yoshi. So here's Yoshi. We're gonna keep him on this level, but here's the first reason why he's obnoxious. If we get onto Yoshi, he actually halts our momentum. So here I am running on my merry day and you can see my momentum just completely cut out when I touched Yoshi. The same happens if we lose Yoshi. If we take damage, he again freezes our momentum. And if you can imagine in a speed run, we want to keep our momentum. We want to go fast, so that's already a downside. The next reason is because Yoshi has this flutter jump. See, he always flutters at the top of his jump. It's like kind of nice in that it gives us more control over our jump, but the problem is the flutter itself actually is incredibly slow by comparison. So there's the flutter slowdown. Now the trick is if we're trying to go fast, it means we need to try to jump as high as possible to get over certain gaps, but minimize the flutter time, which is actually pretty difficult to do effectively. So that's why Yoshi is so frustrating to deal with. Jen, are you starting to see things my way? Are you starting to realize why Yoshi is such a problem in this game?
Absolutely not. I'm unconvinced. I think it's worth the time loss. You gotta save him. I don't know, Charbunny. This is making me completely rethink our friendship.
We gotta save the frames, Jen. Okay, you know what? This next level is about Yoshi. How about you take this one? You seem to love Yoshi. I'll let you handle this one while I just focus on trying to ignore the fact that he exists. Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair. I'm glad
Okay.
to take this one for you. All right, the theme of this next level is that we have to go slow to go fast, which is totally counterintuitive for a speedrunner, and I'll explain why we have to do that. The reason that Charbunny has to actually go slow in the beginning, it may not look like it because she's going super speedy, but she actually had to slow down in the beginning of the level because Yoshi has an activation window. So if she had just held right initially, as you would normally do when you are starting a Mario level, she would have run straight through Yoshi because his activation window wouldn't have been open yet. So she's, again, waiting, hopping on Yoshi, and she's gonna use him for his iframes so that she can damage boost through those spikies to get through those conveyor belts. Okay, chat, now I want you to look at this. Let's look. She just used Yoshi to get through this harrowing tunnel of conveyor belts and spiky beetles, and she's abandoning him for who knows how long on that spiky corridor, just leaving him there. I think that's totally unacceptable. We have to save Yoshi. The rest of this level is pretty straightforward. She just has some music blocks to navigate and some moles, and there we are.
Okay, that's where Yoshi was in the first place. Clearly he lives there. It's fine. He's gonna survive. Chat, it's okay. Don't listen to Jen's lies. Yoshi's fine. It's all right. I hope you're helping me keep track of deaths, by the way, because I've completely lost track at this point. And I know I took another one there, so please tell me, chat, you're a little bit more on top of the counting than I am.
Chat has got your back.
Awesome.
Unlike
Thank
Yoshi.
Thank you. All right, here we're gonna play another Super Mario World level, and in traditional Super Mario World theme, we are going to use a cape to fly the heck over the top of this and not play any of it at all. Now, Nintendo knew we could do this. They put these coins up there to be like, wink, we knew this was a possibility. We knew this was planned, but it still feels kind of nice that we get to skip it. It's kind of like in Super Mario Odyssey. There's a couple places in that game where you can get out of bounds and it feels like you've outsmarted the game, and then you find a giant pile of coins and it was like, oh, I guess Nintendo knew about this. I guess I'm not as cool as I thought I was. That's how playing this level feels. But it's still a nice short one, and anytime you get a nice short break in this run where you're just flying over the top of things, definitely feels good. It's a very long run, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of really intense levels, so good to have those breaks throughout. This next level, speaking of breaks, is just going to be an auto-scroller. It's in a spooky, scary ghost house with dry bones. The dry bones part can be a little bit obnoxious, but since it's an auto-scroller, this is a great time to read some more donations, so Netara would love to hear from you here.
Ooh, and I would love to read some donations. We have $10 from Haley Cat saying, Char Bunny, so excited for your run. Good luck and have fun. We have $50 from Miria saying, meow. That is going towards our bid war, or not our bid war, our donation incentive to get Catgirl Madeline in for the next run, which is our Celeste Custom Maps Quickie Mountain 2 run. Currently, we're at $1,707, and we need 3,000. So we're over halfway there, but we only have until the end of this run in order to make that happen. So, hopefully we can definitely reach that. Speaking of saving and killing Yoshi, currently that stands at saving Yoshi is at $652.86. And ooh, we've had a jump in kill Yoshi. Kill Yoshi's currently at 320. So that's looking more and more doable for Team Kill Yoshi. If you want to reach that and kill Yoshi, you might want to get donating for that. Speaking of which, we have $100 from Maradon saying, Kill Yoshi, save the frames. Time-honored GDQ tradition. We have $25 from Spirits saying, saving Yoshi to make up for all of his deaths in Super Mario World. I don't know if that makes up for it, but thanks.
Come on, he can handle one more. It's fine. He has lots of eggs. It'll be okay.
Taking it for the team.
Right. All right, this next level is a really cool level design. You can see there's 3 different pipes marked with 3 different difficulties at the beginning. And we're actually going to pick the most difficult one. And I'd like to say it's because we're just cool like that, but it's actually because the difficulty is determined by how fast the platform moves. And as you can imagine, as speedrunners, we want to be using the fastest platform. In this case, what is appropriately called a fast lava lift. What's really interesting about this level, though, is the same rail system is actually used for all 3 difficulties. But because the platforms have different speeds, they'll all make different jumps. So this one, for example, is fast enough to jump into this diamond section with the chain chomps, whereas easier platforms would actually skip this cycle. So it's a really interesting setup that Nintendo did to involve 3 different difficulties all in one level, sharing rails. We don't get to see all the other ones, though, because again, we're only going to pick the fastest one and go from there. There's no reason to do all of the slow things. So yay! Gonna do a quick wall jump there to get our top speed a little bit faster, and we're ready to move on to World 12. Well, Mario's ready to move on to World 12. World 12 is not my favorite. So there's something about World 12 that I don't think happens in any other world in the Mario franchise. And if I'm wrong about this, please correct me. Let me know what game has this mechanic in a full world, and I will know to never ever play it, and that'll be great for my game backlog. The next world is entirely about the Koopa clown car. And if you don't recall that, if you picture the end of Super Mario World, Bowser fights in that giant clown thing that sort of floats around the screen. Yeah, that's what we get to use for this entire world. So you're gonna first see it as these enemies use it. You'll see if an enemy is in a Koopa Clown car, it will come toward us. But here's where we're gonna get one of our own. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna try to dodge everything by hovering just above the bottom of the screen. I'm just looking to keep the tip of Mario's hat on screen. And then I'm gonna jump out of it as soon as possible because similar to some other mechanics in this game, it's actually slower than Mario's top speed. So usually with clown cars, as soon as I can jump out of them, I'm going to try to. Clown cars control with omnidirectional movement, and they're very drifty, meaning that even if I hit left on my controller, it won't move left right away. It'll have this little momentum shift, kind of like if you're controlling, I don't know, something on a string. It's not very fun to deal with. But it does lead to some pretty unique levels. That first one was just introducing us to how clown cars work. This one is going to be introducing us to the variant of the Koopa Clown car, the Fire Koopa Clown car. These ones, as their name implies, and as those decals might imply, oh, I need to shoot one more here, missed the line up there, can actually shoot fire. Now there's actually two different types of fire that these clown cars can shoot. The first one is a fireball very similar to Mario's own. This instead goes in a straight line, but it still just is one fireball that will take out a single enemy at a time. However, I can also charge up this fireball, and in that case it will go through enemies, and that lets me get combos with these fireballs. So if I hit multiple enemies in a row, you can see that the score I get for each enemy goes up after the first one. Now, what's really neat about that is actually the 100% medals for this level. This is the only level in the game where the 100% medal challenges are to get a high score, making it pretty unique. This ends up feeling much more like an old school space shooter than a Mario level. And the way you would do that is, unlike what I'm doing, you would hang back and try to wait until many enemies are on screen to take them all out at once. Now, for speedrunning for safety, it's much better to take all of the enemies out as soon as possible so that they have less of a chance of hitting you. Here we're going to get a fire flower, and what's cool about fire flowers is if you have one and you're in a Fire Koopa Clown car, it will actually shoot out 3 fireballs instead of 1. So you can see now I'm doing 3 times as much damage, 3 times as much destruction as I was doing before. It's important for us to keep this fire flower, or at the very least keep a mushroom, because we're going to need it for a Bowser fight at the end of this level. The Bowser fight goes by much faster, as you can imagine, if you do 3x damage to Bowser using this triple fireball. The other cool thing about this level is it starts to escalate. We started with just a few enemies, then some more small enemies, and now we're getting up to giant enemies. And after we get past a couple walls, I'm actually going to do a thing that I, again, normally don't do in runs, and I'm going to hang back and let you see just how crazy this level is with everything on screen. So here's where I'm going to wait, and here's what this level looks like in its true form. You can see things start to go pretty crazy. The spiny start to shoot out spikes. I'm gonna have to start taking them out or I'm gonna die, which just adds more projectiles, more obstacles to the screen. So that's why we try to do everything early on that level. Here is our Bowser fight in a Koopa Clown car, because of course, and our goal is to be hitting Bowser with 3 charged fireballs every time that we possibly can. Bowser's movements and actions are pretty random, so we got 1 fireball, we're looking for as few fireballs as possible, we're able to dodge through it. That was a pretty fast Bowser fight. Now that Bowser fight went pretty smoothly, there's not too much going on there, Bowser just sort of walking along the ground. However, all of you donated to have me fight the final Bowser of the game. I am still mind blown that that incentive got met before this run even started. And in that level, we're actually going to be doing a similar version of the fight, except this time not only am I in a Koopa Clown car, and I may or may not have a fire flower depending on how 18-8 goes, but Bowser is also in a Koopa Clown car, and there's a spike that's careening both of our Koopa Clown cars in all sorts of different directions. Because one thing that I didn't get a chance to mention yet is that if a Koopa Clown car hits a spike, you will lose control of the car and it will just go bouncing off of every wall that it can for a short duration until you recover. That can be very dangerous, and especially the upcoming level, but it will be a factor in the Bowser fight as well. This level though is made scary because of my least favorite enemy in the game, the air bloopers. Those are, as you can imagine, bloopers that are in the air. They react the same way as bloopers do underwater, but since Mario isn't underwater, your options for dealing with them are much more limited. And what's really frustrating about them is that they are random. And on top of that, they have children. They bring their kids with them to attack Mario. What sort of degenerate creature sets their kids on people as an attack option? They're an absolute nightmare. I hate that they exist. I hate that Nintendo invented them. Thankfully, we don't see them too often in this run, but there will be a whole slew of them on 18-1. So if you for some reason like them, you'll get to see a lot more of them then. Thankfully for this next level though, it's actually very light on enemies. This one is all about controlling your cart movement. I want to call it cart movement because this level always makes me think of Mario Kart, but your clown car movement. This is where the game really expects you to have figured out how the momentum of the clown car works. We're going to be going through some tight corridors where we're going to have to be timing movements. In this one, we have to wait for these fire bars to pass us through. And it's going to end in a very dramatic section with a heartbeat nonetheless. Where we're going to be going through a maze of spikes. Now that maze of spikes is incredibly deadly, so I'm going to try to focus on this a little bit. And what I have to do is be hitting my inputs way earlier than you might expect. Like I'm hitting left far before I get to that wall. Here I'm going to skip out at the end and I have to jump there. If I don't jump there, Bowser Jr. will be lower than he would if I jumped. You can kind of bait his movement and his shell would have murdered my face off. So it's very important to do a jump at the end of that level. Oh, so that brings us out of the Koopa Clown Car world. Also try saying that 5 times fast. It's not fun to do. But that brings us to, unfortunately, what I have decided to call the evil world. And that's not just because it's World 13. I know that's a little bit cliche. The reason I call World 13 the evil world is because, and I'll preface this by saying that this is an unconfirmed rumor, so please don't, do your own research on this. But the only thing I can think of to explain the designs of the levels in this world is that Nintendo locked interns in a room and told them they wouldn't feed them unless they made levels that would scare small children. Again, unconfirmed rumor. I don't want to throw Nintendo too far under the bus here, but I really don't know what else explains this. As you can see, we immediately get the propeller, which is one of the worst power-ups in this game. While it offers some nice recovery options, it is very slow, so I've got to try to land close to these platforms here. And then on top of that, this level, it concludes lots of chain chomps. Like, those can be scary on their own, sure, but this level has the most bloodthirsty chain chomps in existence. These ones, if you make a mistake, will come towards you every time, even though they're supposed to be random. And if you watch the bottom of your screen, there are chain chomps hiding in the lava that will pop out at you as a jump scare. Who the heck puts jump scares in a Mario game? Why would you do that? So this level, right up there, very evil. I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10 on evilness. And that's only because this next level, if you can believe it, gets worse. And I hate to even say these words, but this next level is an escort mission. They put an escort mission in a Mario platforming game. I don't know why. Again, starving interns is the only thing I can think of to explain this, but basically the way that this level works is we're going to first escort this P-switch and then later a Muncher through a very elaborate show-offy contraption that Nintendo made, because why the heck not? The only things we're doing to optimize our speed here are occasionally interacting with a spring to move the item forward, and then here I'm actually watching for a specific visual cue to let me know when to move to the right, which will spawn in certain platforms on the right side of the screen at a time that's convenient. So here's my cue to run. That spawned in this platform at the right time to pick that P-switch up as soon as it gets to the end of the conveyor belt, so we're not waiting even longer in this phenomenal level. Like, this is not the sort of level that I enjoy playing. This is not a fun one from Nintendo. And again, that's only part 1. Here is part 2, the Muncher edition of this level, where we now get to escort a Muncher through the level instead. Woohoo, look at that level variety. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna be timing certain runs left and right in order to spawn in platforms. And then I'm actually gonna be timing 2 bounces of this Muncher to trigger this platform to try to catch the optimal cycle on this platform over here. I'm really glad that we didn't get chased by a mole. Moles can actually chase you through this level, but if you follow the setup, it's not too bad. Now, I do wait quite a bit of time for that Muncher to get the kill on both Bowsers, because you can 100% die at the very end of this level to a stray Bowser fireball, and that is one of the worst feelings in this game, so you definitely don't want that to happen. It's always worth it to me to hang back for that extra second just to make sure. This next level, I think the intern got a bit mixed up. This next level would be scary to small children, but thankfully not too much to us. This level is a very atmospheric level themed around pirates. Oh, never mind, it's scary to us too, because I forgot I'm supposed to do a spin jump there instead of a full jump. But this level's themed around pirates, so you'll see that we're going to jump through a bunch of sails and rigging on the ships. We won't see too much of the ships, because we're going to be going pretty fast and most of the time staying high up. There's the correct jump. We also see the cannons, the dry bones. Like, it is a pretty cool looking level, but I do think last time I checked, pirates are supposed to be scary for small children, so I still think it fits the bill of being in this evil world theme. And especially this final boss. Look at that final boss. We can skip over it because we're fast, but it's a dry bones with a spiky shellmet on top of a heat-seeking mole that's going to come hunt you down every time. So, absolute mess. Alright, this next level would have been the worst one of them all, except someone with a shred of conscience at Nintendo made the worst part of this level the medal challenge instead of the level itself. And that's because the medal challenge of this game, as you'll see as we go into this screen, is to beat this level without jumping. I will try to demonstrate that a little bit just to give you an idea of how flat out miserable that is, but Mario is known for 2 things. Like, if you play at Mario RPG game, the two things everyone knows about Mario are that he has a cool mustache and that he jumps really high. So to take away his ability to jump in this level, again, I can jump and I will start jumping, but to demonstrate, this is what this level looks like. I have to wait very patiently on these little note blocks for enemies to slowly walk toward me and try to time my jumps, and I'm done doing that. That's not fun at all. This level's frustrating as 100%. I'm not going to keep doing that, but that's why this level is evil. There is, in fact, a whole second room's worth of this. I'll again demonstrate what that looks like and why it's so bad, but while we're going through that room, since I'm just demonstrating, Netara, if you've got a few donations to read out, that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, do we have donations? I have $50 from Doremiel saying, "Save frames, not dinosaurs." And I think we can all get behind that. Remind you, we do have a bid war to save or kill Yoshi. Save is still currently in the lead with $652.86. However, kill Yoshi is quickly catching up and is at $450. Also want to remind you, we are still just at $1,797 for the custom maps Quickie Mountain, Celeste, Cat Girl, Madeline. So if we want to reach that, we are definitely going to want to get some donations in there. We also, another couple quick ones, $50 from Kizaron saying, "Yoshi must die." Okay, thanks. Which, you know. And we have $10 from Cherry Basil saying, "Char, you're doing so amazing. Everybody follow her." Which, let's agree. Let's all follow her because she's doing such an amazing job.
Thanks, Cherry. Thanks, everyone, for donating. Also, my family dinners are going to be really fun because one of those donations was from my brother for Kill the Animal. So at least someone in my family gets this. Thank you, brother, for supporting me on this one. But sounds like we're split across the Char Bunny family for that one. Oh, this level went by pretty quickly. The evil part of this one is the fact that we have to get the propeller only because we're doing the any percent route. You don't have to get the propeller for the IO, and I'm sad that we had to get it on this one, but just how Evil World works. This next level is evil because it definitely wants to kill us. It has a lot in common with another game franchise that also has the initials SMB. In this case, though, Super Meat Boy. You're going to see that a bit later with the spikes. The first thing, though, that we're going to do is actually time some fire jets. So the fire jets in this level are supposed to work like if you picture the hallway at the end of the Phantom Menace Duel of the Fates. That's what's supposed to happen with those fire jets. We're supposed to get locked and have to wait, except we don't even have dramatic music, so it's not really worth it. Instead, we did a specific jump off of a cannonball to time a sprint through it so we could skip that section. This level goes so fast. This next section, though, is definitely the most Super Meat Boy this game has ever gotten. It is a full bunch of saws rotating toward us, trying to murder us, doing all sorts of unfun things, and we have to try to jump very carefully through these gaps to make it through them. But actually, shoutouts, I think we have a Super Meat Boy run later in the marathon. Jen, you're helping with that, aren't you?
Absolutely, I am. Yeah, we have a Super Meat Boy any percent run by 12 a.m. on 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. So please be sure to check that out. It's going to be an amazing run.
Nice. We really do have a ton of fun runs this marathon. So if you liked this level at all, definitely check out the Super Meat Boy run. There will be plenty more saws to see there. But thankfully with that, we are out of the evil world. Jen, did you make it through okay? You still doing all right?
Just barely. But
Okay.
I have a question for you again, Char Bunny. So back in the level where you were in the tricked out clown car, which chat called the Guy Fieri clown car, I have a proposal for you. What do you think about renaming that level, like in our hearts and minds, as Flavortown?
I think that is a very valid proposal. I will see what the community thinks. I'm not the only person in this community, but Flavortown does seem like a reasonable name for that level.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. All right, this level is a little bit less flavorful, but it does have one of my favorite jokes of all time, even though I'm sure half of chat is going to grow when they hear it. But Jen, you ready for this?
I'm so ready.
What do you call a haunted auto-scroller?
I don't know. What do you call a haunted auto-scroller?
A boring level. I was so focused on the joke, I missed my jump. I'm supposed to get in there with the coin.
You're telling those jokes.
That's my punishment for subjecting everyone to that joke. I just completely was too focused, forgot my route for a second. But that's like my favorite joke about this game ever. It's so silly. I think it was you, but so shout out to you, but if not, then I apologize for whoever told me that. Every single time I play this level, I think of that joke and it makes me smile. It doesn't usually kill me though, so that was the first time I've died due to a joke in this game, so yay. I have died there before, but just not because of jokes. So here, what I'm actually going to do this time is the correct thing. I'm going to get this mushroom, and it's not for safety, in fact. Most of the time we get a mushroom in auto-scroller, it is for safety. This is because this is one of the few auto-scrollers that actually has a skip at the end. So what I'm doing is I'm getting this mushroom because there's going to be some blocks that I can ground pound through if I am large Mario. Now, small Mario can also ground pound this theme, but his ground pound does as much as like yours or my ground pound would do. Like if I were to try to ground pound right now, I wouldn't break anything except for maybe myself. Large Mario, however, has a bit more bulk, so he's going to be able to get through these blocks at the end. So because I have this mushroom and I kept it the whole way through, I can take this very small shortcut, and so this is one of the very few instances of getting a time-saving mushroom on an auto-scroller. Very uncommon, but this level's kind of cool in that it has it. 14-2 is one of the levels where I wish we got a safety mushroom because it can get very scary very quickly. This level is full of buzzy beetles, which are an enemy from Super Mario Bros. 3, and what's interesting about them is they can walk on the ceiling and on walls, but the ceiling is the important one in this case because as you'll see here, when I run underneath it, it will dive bomb me. Now that makes a lot of the jumps in this level much tighter than they might initially appear. Not only do I have to make sure I'm not falling into the pit, but I have to be jumping low enough or late enough to dodge these different enemies dive bombing me from above. So it gets pretty intense, especially as you're learning it. Once you've sort of gotten through it a few times, you're good to go. I'm gonna wait for this one. It's possible to skip it, but we just died in the last level. I'd like to try to keep my death count down, so we're gonna go ahead and take that ending pretty safely. 14-3 is one of, I think, the coolest or best designed levels in this entire game. And it's about an item called the Crusher. The Crusher is something that tries to like jump out and squish Mario as he goes through the levels. But what's really cool about the design of this one is it actually starts underwater. Now, not initially, like we're gonna do a little tiny overworld section here, but here's where we're going to go into the underwater mode. Now, what's interesting about this is the underwater, as you might expect, actually slows down the Crushers. So this is an excellent way to teach the players how they work without sort of scaring them at first with how aggressive these things can be. Now, as speedrunners, unfortunately, they're slow, so we end up taking a couple mushrooms here so we can damage boost through them, because even though getting the mushrooms loses a little bit of time, it is honestly faster than waiting for all these Crushers to activate. However, we're very quickly going to transition into a much faster version of this level, where we're going to go back above ground, and in this case, the Crushers are back to full speed, and because they were just in slow-mo, they seem even faster than they normally would. This level reminds me of an action movie, where the hero's running, there's explosions everywhere behind them, they can't stop moving or they'll die in a fire. Like, there is so much going on behind you in this level, and you want to be moving at top speed at all times to not have to slow down. Like, if you slow down here, this level gets incredibly tricky because suddenly everything is in the way, all of your cycles are off. But thankfully, because there's a checkpoint, we pick up a safety mushroom as a result, and we're able to make it through to the ending pretty cleanly. Now, unfortunately, we follow up that high-octane, fast-paced, exciting level, action movie level with the longest level in the game, and yes, it is an auto-scroller. This is 14-4, and the reason it's an auto-scroller, like Nintendo did have a reason to make it an auto-scroller, and it's because this level is showing you how you can use these lava bubble or Podoboo enemies to create different patterns that form unique obstacles for the player. In order to make sure that these enemies spawn consistently every time, the game does an auto-scroller so that they will always load in at the same point. I'm getting a mushroom here. This is actually, it's kind of a safety mushroom. We have some forced checkpoints later where we will have to get the checkpoint, and if you have to get a checkpoint, you also have to get a mushroom as a result. So we get the mushroom earlier and it doesn't lose us time because we would have had to get one later instead. But getting it at this point in the run is for safety because I have definitely spaced out and run into some of these Goombas before. But that's really all there is to say about this level. It is like 3 minutes long. So Netara, I would love to give the floor to you. Please tell me we're making some progress on Catgirl Madeline and on killing Yoshi. Both of those things would be very good.
Oh, we're making progress on both of those things. Currently, where we stand, Catgirl Madeline is making some slow progress, but we're still heading in the correct direction. We are at $1,810.27 out of a needed $3,000 in order to get Catgirl Madeline. So we definitely want that, friends. I've seen her before. She looks fabulous. We want to have her for that Quickie Mountain 2 run. For Save and Kill the Yoshis, which is coming up very rapidly. Currently, Save the Yoshis is still in the lead, or the Yoshi, at $657.87, but Kill Yoshi is at $452. So we are very rapidly catching up. So friends, you know what you've got to do for that. And some of our donators already know. So they're donating for us. We have $5 from Karma Colored Yoshi saying, bad keys, no, save the Yoshi. Wait, that's not what we're looking for. No, thank you so much. We have a kind of a special donation here. We have $2 from Juice ACD, who says, sorry, Char, but I only advocate killing Yoshi when it saves time. Really enjoying the run. Also, go for the POW drop in 16.4. If you get it, first try, I'll donate another $10. So only you know whether that's possible to do in your run.
Unfortunately, we will not be going for the POW drop today. I'm sorry, Juice. I will donate the extra $10 to make up for it. And Juice, you know it's faster to kill the Yoshi. What are you saying, man? The POW drop is a really cool strat in 16.4, but I'm going to be going for, I think, a cooler strat in a Bowser skip, and the POW drop risks losing your Shelmet. And if that happens, you cannot go for the Bowser skip. So in order to have the best chance of showing off that Bowser skip, I will not be doing the POW drop today. Oh, hey, random bonus block. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, Juice, but I'll donate the $10 since I know I'm letting you down on that one. Please continue for a little bit. You got a little bit more time.
Okay, cool. We have $25 from Allison saying, Char Bunny is actually the best speedrunner of all time. And I don't think any of us can disagree with that, certainly. We have $25 from Sophos. Can't donate as much as I wanted to this time around, but I had to donate for Char Bunny rocking the commentary while making my Mario skills look laughable. Thank you so much for supporting an amazing cause. And we have $10 from Vasu saying, this Mario Maker speedrun has been so fun to watch, and Char Bunny's commentary is amazing. Agreed.
Thank you so much, everyone. Those are really nice compliments. Definitely feels good to get those. I'm glad that means that you're enjoying the run. That's really the important thing here. As is killing Yoshi. Hey, look, it's a Yoshi level again. And this one is where we actually are learning how Yoshi works. This is where it had those coin trails to teach us how to use Yoshi's flutter, where it focused on using the Yoshi or the items that Yoshi can eat in order to go past obstacles. But here is where, if I can do this jump correctly, there we go, I'm actually gonna skip using Yoshi's fire to blow up those bombs, drop him straight into a pit like he's supposed to be, and that will let us go underneath the stage and actually skip waiting for a very slow ending section to the level. So that is exactly the sort of thing that we can look forward to only if Kill the Yoshi wins. If Kill the Yoshi doesn't win, I actually have to bring him with me to the castle. I don't like doing that. It's slower, it's annoying. Yoshi just has too much swagger as he's walking off the screen. No. We need to try to get that bid war back toward even. I'm glad we're making some progress on it. This level, unfortunately, fortunately for me, does not have a Yoshi. This is a level from the original Super Mario Bros. 3 game, and this is one of the levels from the Dark World. In that game, there was a Dark World that sort of had Bowser's armed forces in it, where there was a level with tanks for his ground troops, there was a level with boats for his navy, and there was a level with these airplanes for his airship, or his air force, sorry. And so this is that level. Now at the end of this level, we actually are going to see Bowser Jr. in what is intended to be a required fight. Now the way that works is that Bowser Jr. is in a clown car, because this game loves clown cars, and there's a pipe in the top right side of the screen that we're going to try to aim for to finish the level. Oh, I didn't really want to do that, that's okay. Unfortunately, however, or fortunately for us, there's multiple ways to get to that top right section of the screen without having to fight Bowser Jr. So we're going to give some of those a try. I would have liked to have my tail for this next section, but we don't, so it's okay. We're just going to have to go for it anyway. And what I'm going to be going for is a strategy where I try to get one of his shells in midair and do a shell jump off the right side of the screen to get to the top. I don't know if I'll make it, but we're gonna give it a try. So I'm gonna hang back and not take damage here to start with because I took damage earlier and I don't want to make a risk at the end of this long auto-scroller, but here we go. There it is! By getting that shell jump, which is considered a Kaizo trick, if you remember me talking about those back on 5.3, we can actually completely skip Bowser Jr. We don't have to talk to him, we don't have to see him, we don't have to hit him. We can just move on with our merry day and make some progress there. That specific boss fight is actually really fun because there's at least 5 different ways to do it fast, and you can always die. So there's always many different things going on. It's never quite the same every time you do it. It's a really cool level. This one is much more straightforward, and this one's kind of mean because there's Luigi's house, but Luigi isn't even in this game. Why'd they put his house in if Luigi's not gonna be here? Like, it just makes me sad. But this level's really cute. The car honks when you jump on it. There's little music blocks that will make a doorbell sound if you try to ring the doorbell of any of these houses. It's an incredibly fun and cute atmospheric level. Then again, we're speedrunning, we skip right through it. This next level, though, speaking of skips, is going to be some of the more challenging skips that I'm going to attempt in the run. So Jen, could you please tell everyone about 15.4 for me?
Sure thing, Charbunny. 15.4 is another platform scroller, which is a close cousin of the dreaded auto scroller that we all know and love here in the speedrunning community. Earlier in the run, when Charbunny was introducing platform scrollers, she said, well, in this level there aren't very many skips, but later on we'll have a platform scroller with skips, and this is that level. In this first skip, it's going to take a little bit to set up because you do have to hang out on this platform for a little while, but she is going to be taking some intentional damage off of these spikes near the lava. That's going to allow her to damage boost and use her iframes to go through that muncher tunnel and avoid staying on the platform, which is really nice. The next skip that is coming up is also something that utilizes damage boosting and iframes, and if you are a fan of Kaizo hacks, you will like this skip. There is still this little platform scroller aspect where you just kind of have to hang out. There's not a whole lot you can do. But behind the scenes, Charbunny is doing some really precise movement and lineup to know her cues for where she is going to be taking this really big jump, lining up her damage boost so that she can go through this terrifying gauntlet of chain chomps.
2 for 2!
Yes! Progressing to the next screen. And then finally, we have one more platform scroller aspect, which is relatively straightforward. Gonna ride on this platform for a little bit, and then she'll take one death-defying leap to avoid fighting Bowser. She nailed those skips. That was really, they are tricky, and she did a great job.
Okay, I was so nervous for those skips. The biggest thing I wanted to show off this run was that second chain chomp skip, and I am so glad I got those first tries so you could all see them. I would have gone for them a few tries, but it feels good that those are out of the way and they worked. So, yay, and thank you again, Jen, for covering me on that one so I could stay focused.
Of course.
All right, that brings us to World 16. World 16 is pretty cool because it's one of the few worlds in this game that doesn't have any auto scrollers. I know this game loves its auto scrollers, it loves its platform scrollers, but these levels don't have any of them. These levels tend to go by in a blink of an eye compared to some of the ones we've seen before this. So this first one, we're going to be seeing donut blocks again. I called out donut blocks before. Again, these are ones where depending on what angle you hit them, they give you different momentum. I was going to tell you about them, but I really want to know how Catgirl Madeline is doing because these donut blocks and the Madeline bumpers remind me so much of each other. Netara, are we any closer to Catgirl Madeline? Please tell me the answer is yes.
I think we're a little bit closer, but we still got a ways to go. Let's see. Yeah, we have made a little bit of progress. We are at $1,910.27. So we're almost 2/3 there. We're getting so close. We can do this, everyone.
Chat, you can do this. We definitely want to have more adorableness in our day, so please do donate towards that. Here at the end of this level, we get a very small shout out back to 6-3 with a tiny little section of donuts on rails, but thankfully that's all we have to deal with this time around, so it's not nearly as bad as the very long auto scroller we had earlier. 6-2 is going to go by fast, but the thing that I want you to keep an eye on is the top left corner of your screen where you can see Mario's lives. Right now I have 65 lives. Keep that number in mind because it's about to go shooting up. The other thing to keep in mind is something that I mentioned a while ago around combos. If Mario kills multiple enemies in a combo, such as using, I don't know, a star, which is what we're going to get here, he will actually get 1-ups at the end of his run. Like every single enemy after a certain point will start counting as a 1-up. So as you can see from this, and actually I'm going to do something that I don't normally do and wait a little bit here and go over Bowser that way. Normally I would actually have enough star time to get through that entire section of enemies without slowing down, but I did a small mistake in the beginning of the level, which meant that I would have run out of star timer before getting past Bowser. And unfortunately, because I made a different mistake, I also didn't have my mushroom that I would normally have, so I had to improvise. That was completely improvised to make sure I could get past Bowser safely. So I'm really lucky his fire worked out for me there. That was legitimately terrifying. I hope it didn't sound like it though. Anyway, we are now at 100 lives. Ideally, we will stay at 100 lives for the rest of the run. This level is really cute though. So my route for this level is just spin jumps, because spin jumps are a different jump height than regular jumps. You can see when I do regular jumps here, I actually get a little bit more height, and that makes them a useful tool for routing levels. So my route here is spin jump at the end of platforms in the first section, spin jump at the middle of platforms in the second section, and that describes fully my entire route for this level. Now this next level is far more complex, so Jen, if you wouldn't mind covering this one, that would be great.
Yes, absolutely. This next level is really scary because it has no checkpoints and it's pretty long. So that's why I'm going to be doing the comms for this one. Whereas the last level was really straightforward, this is completely the opposite of that. Charbunny is going to be going for a ground pound at the beginning of this level. So keep an eye out for that to access that ledge. She nailed it. She did a ground pound there to access that donut ledge, and normally you wouldn't be able to reach that with a normal Mario jump, but a ground pound gives you a little smidgen of extra height that makes that jump possible. In this next area, she's going to be using a ground pound again to swing through these conveyor belts super fast, keep her horizontal movement tight. Next, she's going to be grabbing a shellmet, and this shellmet is super important for the rest of the level. Keep an eye on the shellmet. We need to make sure that shellmet stays on. The shellmet's going to come in handy to get through this little tunnel of munchers that she's going to bop right out of the way, which I just love that sequence. And as she gets into this next area, she is, yes, finally going to be getting Yoshi, my favorite dinosaur, our friend. I know there are a lot of like-minded individuals in the chat. Hope you show up with your donations and we get to save Yoshi at the end. And Charbunny is going to be doing a Bowser fight coming up after this really scary spiky tunnel section. This Bowser fight has a lot going on. There is fire, there are Sledge Brothers that are just wreaking havoc, and she needs to avoid all of that. She's gonna try to slide under Bowser, so keep an eye open for that. With her shellmet, depending on Bowser's RNG, she'll be able to slide right under him and totally avoid the fight. So let's see if Bowser's RNG is kind. He was! Awesome job.
Bowser cooperated, let's go. Like Jen was saying, that is random. Depending on Bowser's animation, that either will work or it won't. And that is entirely why I wanted to keep the shellmet and why I did not do a strat earlier called the Pow Drop strat, which would have let me skip getting Yoshi. As much as I don't really like Yoshi, he is safer to use in that section, so that's why we brought him along. Definitely getting towards the end of the game now though. So the next two worlds are gonna be the last two in the game. The end of World 17 is the only other spot where I think we're gonna have time for donations. So if you want your donation to be read during this run, you need to get it in now. And again, that means we're also coming up on the end of run, which means we're both gonna be closing the Yoshi bid war as well as that Catalan incentive. So please make sure you're donating for those. Both of those are great causes. Specifically killing the Yoshi is great, Catalan's great. Save the Yoshi's okay, it still goes to charity, but you know, that's fine. This level though, pretty straightforward. It's actually really cool where there's two routes through each of these areas. We're taking, of course, the shorter route, which generally involves not hitting these question mark blocks. But for this section, we're gonna go back to Concussionville because it is once again, I missed the jump, it is once again faster to let Mario bang his head against things in a one tile space than it is to actually run through. The jump at the end, you have to just do a very small spin jump in order to make it through, so that's why I missed it the first time, but thankfully you can try that pretty much as many times as you want. It does get a little bit tricky if you hit too many of the question mark blocks, because every time you hit one, some fire will show up and that makes that part more dangerous. Speaking of some dangerous levels, this next one is all about a dry bones, except it's a giant dry bones, which makes it even scarier. Jen, do you want to talk about 17 too?
Yes, I would love to. As Charbunny said, this level is all about giant dry bones, which is a nightmare I did not need to have. And the other theme of this level is sort of like a choose your own adventure, maze, investigate all of the doors kind of vibe. There are going to be a series of doors that are locked, and to get through those doors you need to collect keys that the giant dry bones are holding captive. So we're going to be getting to a central hub area, and normally you're supposed to go through all of these doors and try them all and get all of the different keys that way. But we're going to employ some speedrunning tricks to get through this a bit faster. In the next door that Charbunny goes through, she's going to kill a dry bones using a bomb, which, okay, that's normal. But what's pretty cool is that she's going to grab that bomb before it explodes and carry it with her through the door back to the central hub. There are invisible blocks blocking that pipe. But with the bomb and doing some really precise counting, which is why I'm doing the comms, she would break those blocks and be able to go up through that pipe way faster than the game intended. She didn't get the bomb throw that time because it has really specific timing. Like I said, it's really hard. But she can still go back, get the bomb again, try for it one more time. It's still much faster than doing it in the intended way. She nailed it that time.
That is definitely a scary part. The entire reason I get a mushroom in the room where we get the bomb is in case I miss it the first time. All you have to do, it sounds so straightforward, is count 6 flashes and the bomb will explode after the 6th one. But as you can see, there's not a huge window for timing that throw. And if you get distracted at all, which I got slightly distracted because I broke slightly different blocks in one room than I normally do, and that threw me off just enough to lose count, that section can get very, very out of hand very quickly. And we're not done with bombs. This level has a gajillion of them. So the first thing we need to do is expose a cloud that we're going to use to get to the top of this level. So I'm going to take this bomb and I'm going to throw it at a specific point to try to blow up both of those blocks. Now, not just that, I'm actually trying to stay left on the screen so that I can watch that cloud spawn in. If I don't stay on the left side of the screen and keep at least a pixel of that pipe on screen, the cloud won't spawn right away, and then I'll have to wait for it, which is slow, instead of getting it right away, which is fast. Amazing how that works out. This section, as long as we go fast, we should be fine. There's a ton of bombs all through midair. We went a little too fast and we were not fine, but thankfully there's a checkpoint right there, so we're good to go. We missed jumping off of one that I was expecting to, which is what happened there. But as long as we go fast, we won't actually run into these bombs too often because they won't have a chance to explode before we get to them. So here we just have to dodge all of them in midair, and we're gonna have to do that again. Now the second section gets even scarier because now if we slow down, the bombs are gonna start exploding the ground out from under us and leave only spikes in their wake. So if you slow down at all on that second half, it becomes a maze to try to find out where any sort of safe solid ground is to make progress. So glad we made it through. Although, oh yeah, chat, please tell me you're still counting deaths. I'm pretty sure I've missed a couple of them in the middle. So you'll have to tell me at the end of the run what I got to so I can donate correctly. This next level is going to be one of our other platform scrollers, and I talked about this a little bit, or at least hinted at it when I was talking about how auto scrollers work, but one of the other differences besides doing giant death-defying jumps at the end between an auto scroller and a platform scroller is the way that enemies spawn in. So enemies in this game are not all loaded when the level starts. They actually load in once the screen reaches a certain point in the level. Now with an auto scroller, the game controls when that happens. It's always very consistent, and that's why a level like 14.4 that wanted enemies to spawn in a consistent pattern used an auto scroller. This one, however, is a platform scroller, which means I can move Mario left and right to control when certain enemies spawn in. In this case, I stay left in that first section near the chain chomp so that I minimize how many Goombas will spawn in. Here, I'm going to stand about here to control when this final Goomba is going to drop down from a pipe. For the IL for this one, you actually very precisely time that Goomba so you can jump off of it and skip this ending section. For us today, that's not marathon safe, unfortunately, so we're just going to cruise on through. We get a mushroom. Oh, come back, Mario. We get a mushroom specifically for these chain chomps at the end. They are RNG. They go in all sorts of different directions, and if you try to jump over them and they go to the right, you're dead if you don't have a mushroom, and it's not a good idea to die at the end of an auto-scroller / platform scroller. It loses a ton of time. It's not a good idea to die in this game in general, but auto-scrollers and platform scrollers are definitely the worst of them. But with that, these next few levels are straightforward, so I would love, Netara, what have you got for us? How is everything going?
Oh, we're doing really well on everything. Currently, Save and Kill Yoshi. Save is still in the lead with $657.87. However, Kill Yoshi is catching up quickly at $512. So for those of you who want Yoshi dead, we're at the final stretch. And speaking of final stretch, this is the last chance as well to try and have Catgirl Madeline as our playable character in the Celeste Custom Maps Quickie Mountain 2, currently at $2,450.27 out of a needed $3,000. So we are just over $500 away from that one. So team, I know we can do this. Let us get it in. So let's read off some of these amazing donations we have. We have $50 from community member Paloxy saying, Charbunny is such a wonderful speaker that her audio during her live streams can be compiled and made into a podcast. She is a wonderful community member as well as a moderator for the community that has bettered the leaderboard as well as our understanding of how Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS works, especially how to calculate runs without load times for the 100 Mario Challenge Easy category, which was a massive project we both did that took a few months to accomplish because this game sucks. Charbunny contributed immensely to the project by organizing it and doing more work than I, lol. Since I've been a part of the community the longest and have witnessed the entire history of this speed game, I can say that without her, running this game as well as community activity would be very dull and boring. Thank you for being awesome times 100.
That is so darn sweet. Pulonxi is the other moderator for this game. He is the other top 3 runner. He did such an amazing job of welcoming me into the community when I started. This was my first ever speed game, and only because I felt like I was really part of the community with him and some other people making me feel like I belonged, did I keep up with speedrunning. So Pulonxi, thank you so much for that donation, and thank you so much for everything. That was really sweet. This level, unfortunately, is the opposite of sweet. Jen, do you want to talk about 17-8 and why it's a mess?
Yes, mess is a great way to describe this level, even though it has Yoshi, but we'll get to that in a second. The reason that this level is kind of a mess is because it has the most potentially run-impacting RNG in the whole category. The good news is, as I said, we get to have Yoshi, albeit kind of briefly, to help get us through this level. She's going to be using Yoshi to spit 3 fireballs to break the blocks. I think she already took care of that while I was speaking so much about Yoshi and how wonderful he is. But now we're getting into the really run-impacting RNG. These Hammer Bros can do crazy stuff. That's why we need Yoshi to help take the brunt of that damage. And Bowser can also wreak havoc with RNG there, but he wasn't a problem.
Bowser is not a problem. The Hammer Brothers were. Ideally, I actually keep Yoshi all the way through the Bowser section there because, like Jen was saying, Bowser has RNG as well. But unfortunately, the Hammer Brothers were not cooperating. Neither was Yoshi. I lost him on that middle level of Hammer Brothers, and I got very lucky that the middle tier of Hammer Brothers moved up instead of down. If they had moved down, it's very likely I would have died there. So that's why that level is so frustrating. It comes so late in the run, and it's all RNG in that Hammer Brothers section, so very frustrating. This level is also frustrating. This is where I said if you, for some reason, actually liked air bloopers and were a fan of air bloopers, this is where they make a comeback. This entire first area is nothing but air bloopers. There is coin art of the air bloopers. They are all over the place. They are not only trying to actually attack Mario, but they're trying to knock me into the spikes in this room too. So it's rare to get through that room without taking any damage. Fortunately, we're through that section, we get a checkpoint, and it's actually useful to have taken some damage in the previous room because it means we can start firing fireballs immediately. See these swamps above us? If we had released them early, they would have come down on top of Mario. And yeah, I can survive one hit because I had a mushroom, but the thwomps will pile drive you into the lava in a move that I like to call getting thwomped. And it is not fun, it is instant death. And again, this late in the run, if you're still on the run, you're probably on good pace and you really don't want to see that happen. Thankfully, once we get past that part, it's just a couple more enemies and clown cars, but none of them really pose too much of a threat. We can take them all out with our fire pretty early, so from there on out, we're kind of safe to go. Along the lines of enemies that are a little bit tricky, this next level is going to be all about wigglers. It's going to showcase wigglers that are just sort of chilling, wigglers that are bouncing with little wings and everything, and it should be a very straightforward level. But as you can see, I've got some nerves today, so we'll have to see how it goes, because this is one of the levels where nerves will start to show through. The first jump that's important in this level, we've got a couple jumps just to get past some enemies, is a jump off of a conveyor belt where we want to stay on the conveyor belt as long as possible. I don't know if I talked about this, but conveyor belts that move to the right give you speed. You want to be on them as long as possible. Conveyor belts moving to the left, you want to do first frame jumps. You want to jump off of them as soon as possible, but here we go. I want to get as much speed as I can and then just barely dodge that first enemy right there. And then from there, the rest of the level's okay, but it's a really tight window and a tight trade-off. You want to be on that conveyor as long as possible to build up that speed, but you definitely don't want to die to that wiggler right there. This next level introduces another enemy, the Magic Koopa. Now, if you know what Magic Koopas are, you would equate them with RNG, but interestingly, the Magic Koopas in this level, if, and this is a big if I play correctly, will not actually be random whatsoever. In fact, strangely in this level, there's actually two things that are pure randomness. Neither of them are the Magic Koopas. The first one is pipe item spawns. So this first pipe over here is going to give me a boot Goomba. I got a really nice early spawn, but it's random when a pipe, when you transition onto a screen with the pipe, gives you the item or enemy that it's holding. So we got some good luck there. That was actually a really nice start. The next thing that's going to be random in this is Bowser Jr. Bowser movement in general is pretty random. That goes for Bowser Jr. as well. In this upcoming room, he can either move toward us or away from us. We want him to move away from us. Let's see what we get. Bowser Jr., how are you feeling today?
Okay, I'm going to interrupt with two different announcements
yes,
as you requested. First off, we have met the Catgirl Madeline incentive.
Yes.
Thank you to all of you. That was amazing, and we couldn't have done it without you. That being said, the Save and Kill Yoshi donation incentive bid war is super hot right now. For a brief moment, Kill was in the lead, but currently Save is back in the lead with $742.86, with Kill so close behind at $712. So that's just under $30 difference. We can get this. We can kill that Yoshi.
That is so close. Any of you in chat could sway that battle right now. Please, we're going to come up on it pretty soon. There's not a lot of gameplay left before we get to that decision. So first off, congrats everyone on meeting Catgirl Madeline. That is so exciting. It is absolutely adorable. I'm excited that I get to watch it after this run too. And please, kill the Yoshi. We're so close. We can make it happen. This level, you saw some Magic Koopas, but because I did it well, and you'll see them here at the end, we go too fast for their magic to actually hit us and cause any damage in the run. If I had missed some of these Magic Koopa kills, especially one that I got a key from, the room that I get the key Magic Koopa has 3 Magic Koopas in it. All of them will randomly teleport, and it will be impossible to tell which one has the key. So if you get that room slowly, it's an absolute disaster. But like I said, as long as I play that one through cleanly, the only RNG was really that Bowser moving back and forth, so pretty nice and clean. Here's what would have been our final Bowser fight of the run. This is normally the final Bowsers that we do take down, but because all of you donated, again, even before this run started to see that final Bowser fight, we are actually going to play it out. So this is only our second to last set of Bowsers. There's going to be 2 Bowsers here. Oh, I lost my Fire Flower. That's okay. We're going to do the Fire Kill here instead. So this first Bowser, a lot of times we actually do, and now we're going to have to go for it. Well, we're just going to have a fun, chill day, chat. We usually try to get him to do that move, which brings him through the pit. Unfortunately, he wasn't really cooperating, and then I lost my fire, so that fight turned into a bit of a disaster. That's, again, Bowser knowing that we're coming for him at the end of the game and wanting to get his revenge. But here's, again, where we're actually going to go to the left, and this time it's because we're in a bizarro Mario world. Everything in the first half of the level gets changed into something more deadly in the second. So, for example, those happy cloud blocks, they become donut blocks that can murder us. Ironically, though, this Bowser is actually easier to deal with than its predecessor because it's too tall. If we stand close to it and do some really nice spacing as if we're in a fighting game, all of Bowser's fire will go over our head and we'll be able to stay far enough back that he'll never hit us. So that makes it a pretty straightforward one. Now, this next level is the last level to get your donations in for Save or Kill Yoshi, and it is not a long one. Please, last chance, if you were on the fence about saving or killing Yoshi, donate now. Please help us kill Yoshi. This is the last chance. This is the last level. At the end of this level is when I'm going to have to cut the donation incentive. So please, donate now. Donate fast. You can do it.
And Kill's in the lead.
Yes, let's go, chat. Keep it up. We can do this. This level is super easy for how late it is in the run, but if you watch the bottom screen, the shell is doing something really cool. Keep in mind that, as I said way back in World 1, this game is designed around teaching the player how to make Mario levels, not around difficult gameplay. So this level shows up late in World 18, not because it's difficult, but because it's complex. So as soon as 18.6 starts, well actually, no, we have to call it now. This is the end of the bid war. Can you please tell me who won? And I hope it was Kill the Yoshi.
Okay, we're just going to take a moment there in order to close it. Should be done very quickly. However, currently Kill is very in the lead with $1,000 and $1,072, while Save has $797.87.
All right, chat. You're making me do it. You're making me narrate Yoshi's stuff.
I'm sorry, Jen, but can you please give Yoshi's eulogy in this level?
I will. Yoshi was such a good dinosaur. Right to the end, he's helping Mario. He's doing everything in his power to make Mario make it safely through this level. In this level, he's using his sturdy boots to hop off of these saws as if they were donuts. And I just don't know what to say. What can we say about a good dinosaur like Yoshi? Just drop him into a pit. Okay, there we go.
He knows what he did.
He knows.
I hope you're happy, chat.
I hope you're happy, chat, too. Thank you so much to everyone who donated toward that incentive. Honestly, it was just really exciting to see how much money is raised for such a great cause, for such an interesting incentive, and thank you again for making the right choice. But also thank you to everyone who donated towards Save. It would not have been nearly as exciting of a bid war if it wasn't close. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your generosity. But with that, we are down to the final 2 levels in this game. So this last one, or the second to last one here, is an auto-scroller underwater, but it ends up being kind of interesting, mostly due to some enemies we'll talk about later. For this section, what I like to do is I like to put the thwomps in timeout. So there's a lot of semi-solid platforms that I can push the thwomps through, and you can see thwomps are kind of grumpy. They kind of need some time to cool off. So I like to put them in timeout up here where they can't get in anyone's way. They can sort of take a minute to take a breath, think about their actions, and maybe become a little bit more polite. The other thing to think about with this level is I am holding a shell, and in Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario World theme, if I'm holding a shell underwater, it actually completely changes my swimming mechanics. Actually, quick shout out to bloopers again. For some reason, Nintendo put 12, count them, 12 bloopers in this one section of the level, for goodness knows what reason. But with this shell, if I don't hold the direction, I'll actually start to float up like you see me doing here, so that's kind of cool. But the biggest thing here, and I'll also, by the way, move faster left and right, that'll only be important at the end of the level. But what's really important here is I need to hit these invisible blocks to block these bullet bill launchers, and that's because bullet bill launchers in this level do not, as the name might suggest, launch bullet bills. They launch angry red underwater wigglers, which is not a sentence I ever want to have to say. And the good news is, with those hidden blocks, we can actually stop the first set of angry red underwater wigglers from spawning. We will have to see a few of them later, but the good news is, by stalling them out at the beginning of the level, we'll be able to get past them at the end without nearly as much trouble as we would be in if they showed up early. Here, I'm going to try to take out those hammer bros just to clean things out, and here's where they're about to show up. I'm going to go high on the screen to try to bait them to go this direction, and then I'm going to lay them in a loop-de-loop. So here we go. This is angry red underwater wigglers, which again are just absolutely awful. They come toward you, they are faster than you even with the shell. They are a nightmare to deal with. So it's very fortunate that we can prevent them from spawning in the early part of the level. And here is why I was holding a shell the whole time. It is just to save less than a second at this ending, because I will swim that much faster with the shell in my hands. With that though, we are on the final level. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. And this last one really is an excellent final course for this game. It tests a bunch of your different mechanics, it tests a bunch of different items, enemies, everything you can think of. This first part is sort of a maze section where you're supposed to figure out what items you need to advance to each additional section. The first thing I need is a shell, and because we're speedrunners, we know which route to go. So I'm going to go to this top right room, get a shell, and that will unlock the bottom room. This is another level that has a very competitive IL, given how much optimization you can do in every single room. For example, I'll try to say everything I'm doing in this bottom room, but I probably won't get it. I'm going to try for a wall jump off the left side of the screen in order to get some top speed going to the right. I'm going to jump before the pipe so that the POW spawns early. I'm going to throw the spring back to the left so that I can jump on it without slowing down, and then jump back up to the pipe. That's what happens in that room. Like, it's happening so fast I can't even really keep up with talking about it. But that's what every single room in this game is like. There's so many small micro time saves you can get in this level. Like, just not hitting that note block is a time save. So this level becomes very intense if you're on good pace, because there's a lot of ways to both save and lose time. So for example, in this room, this time around, I want the spring, so I'm instead going to run on top of the pipe to prevent the POW from spawning, giving me a clear path to run back and forth and bring the spring up without ever having to using that POW. I'm going to attempt a really difficult trick here. It's okay if I miss it, but I'm going to give it one shot. So here we go. Bounce here. Got it. Okay. That is the spring jump on 18A. We don't have a cooler name for it, but that is a difficult trick to get. It's not very consistent for me. It saves quite a bit of time though, because it saves you having to wait for a shellmet to go across the screen and for a vine to show up. So I'm like legitimately very excited that I got that. This room, or the last section of this level, is going to be sort of one room per power-up. This is the room where we get the fire flower. We're supposed to use it in the next room, but we're actually going to skip the next room. The bottom right corner of the screen is going to have a pipe. We're not going to go in it. We're going to instead hit exactly 2 enemies and do a precise triple jump off of that bullet bill launcher to get into this room early without using the propeller like the game intended. Thankfully, the game gives us a propeller here or we'd be stuck, so we're able to pull that skip off, which is really fun. Now, the key thing here is, again, thank you so much for meeting the incentive. We're going to fight the final Bowser. In order to do that and not die a bunch, I'm gonna try to keep at least a mushroom. So for this Bowser Jr. fight, oh, I've already gotten off to a pretty poor start. We're gonna instead keep the propeller. Normally, I want to hit Bowser Jr. really early to keep him locked in the middle of the screen, but I missed my setup for it. So instead, we're gonna keep the propeller, which is fine. All I needed was at least a mushroom. That's gonna give me a fire flower here because we are back to the Koopa Clown car, and this time Bowser's riding one too. So this arena is really intense, where I need to steal my clown car from a Magic Koopa. I need to start hitting Bowser with fire, and the problem is there's a spike in the middle. That makes Bowser's movements, I've already lost my fire flower, this is not good. That makes Bowser's movements more unpredictable because he's not just going toward us, his clown car is careening out of control, as you can see every time he hits a spike. My main goal is to never be on the same side of the screen as Bowser, which we are already mildly failing at. I'm down to my last hit. Because if Bowser is on the same side of the screen as you, he can actually completely stun lock you in a corner and there's no real way out. Okay, we finished Bowser. I almost died to that final flower. Let me just get out of here. And time! I forgot to say that was time, but that was the final level. Time finishes on the axe. And oh my goodness, you can see why we generally prefer not to fight that Bowser. It's entirely possible to just blow open the path to the axe and run through without touching him whatsoever, without waiting for him. But just for all of you, because you donated, and again, thank you so much for all those donations. I did actually practice for that. I'm glad I got to show it off, and that came a lot closer to the wire than I was expecting it to. I usually can finish that fight with the mushroom, but you got to see the full final Bowser fight with that setup. From here, we finally get back to this game's story. We have our side characters. They were Mary-O and Yamamura, by the way. They were teaching us about game mechanics. Here's where we finally get to see Princess Peach again. We haven't seen her for 18 worlds, and she says, "Thank you, Mario. You're my hero." And everyone who donated during this run and for this run, you are my hero. We are raising money for an amazing cause. And because of your donations, we're actually not done. We have a bonus level that we're going to play that I get to show off for you. And unlike the rest of this game, I've actually asked Jen not to watch this one ahead of time. So Jen, you have not seen 19-2, correct?
Correct. I'm going into this totally naive. I don't know what to expect.
All right. Well, it may take me a few tries. The first thing I'm going to do is show you what the level is supposed to be. So 19-2. Actually, first thing is, here's the game's core spot. One of the reasons this is such an excellent game to get into with speedrunning is it has a built-in level select. I can actually go select any of the levels that I showed you today and practice them, or even edit them to give myself specific types of practice. Also, these two birds here on the bottom screen are super adorable, and if you tap them with your stylus, they chirp at you, and it's one of my favorite things about this game. Anyway, we've played through 88 of the 100 levels in this game, but we're about to go see the bonus world. World 19, which are these sets of levels that you see here, are only available once you unlock a certain number of medals. I've gotten all the medals, so I have all the levels, so I could show any of them, but the one I've specifically chosen to show today is 19-2, which is this one. Now, the first thing we're going to do is not do the speedrun route. I'm just going to show you what the level looks like normally. This level is intended as a platform scroller, so as you can see, we are on a platform, and we are just sort of cruising along. We're just sort of chilling. We'll go back and forth, and as you can see, I'm just gonna die at this point. There's a lot of rails. We don't want to have to do that. It's really obnoxious. It's super slow. Playing that level casually is over a minute. It's somewhere close to a minute and a half just to wait for that platform to reach the end. Now, I'll be real with you, this trick is difficult. I may not get it first try. It may take me like 10. Actually, I think we're doing okay in death, so chat, please keep counting these toward my death total, so I'll donate for these as well. But if I do this correctly, we'll beat this in 6 seconds. So, wish me luck. Here we go. I actually do have to focus for this because it's a very precise set of jumps. Here we go. And I already messed up the first one, so you can already see the nerves in play. That is one more death for charity, though, so you know what? It's all going towards a good cause. Let's do this.
You got this. We believe.
That wiggler at the end. I was close on that one. We can give it a couple more tries. I can do this. It just, like I said, the jumps at the end in particular get really precise. There's another one. The way that the strat works this level is the first half of it, the first 3 jumps I do, are mostly set up where it's okay sort of wherever I land. But there it is. I have to set up correctly for that last sequence of jumps, and then I have to get specific jump heights to land on the enemies in the correct way. But that is 19-2. That is the shortest level in this entire game. It is one of the shortest levels in any Mario game. So I am so glad that you all donated so that you could see that today, and I'm so glad that even though it took a few tries, I was able to show that one off. So thank you so much. Chat, please tell me, how many deaths did I get to? I need to make sure I donate after my run. So start spamming it. I'll check it here in a second. But that does bring us all... I'll leave so we actually have some music playing. There we go. That does bring us to the end of my time here at the marathon. I want to say thank you so much to everyone. I want to do some shout outs. Shout outs to my family and friends. You heard a lot of them donating during the run. Not many of my family and friends were speedrunners, but they were all super supportive of my speedrunning efforts. So shout outs to them for really hyping me up, keeping me going with this. As well, shout outs to the Super Mario Maker 3DS community. There's a couple of us in there. Like I said, you heard Palongsi, you heard JCACD. It's a really great space. This is my first speed game, and I was surprised and excited to see how welcoming it is and how much fun I had. And then shout outs to Netara for hosting this run and keeping me updated on how the incentives were going, because I know we had a lot of back and forth movement on some of them. So thank you so much. And finally, super special shout out to Jen. Thank you so much, Jen, for being my co-commentator for this. It means so much that I had you here supporting me the whole time and helping me cover for things. So thank you so much. It was great having you.
It was my pleasure to be on comms with you. I knew nothing about this game going in, even though I am a Mario speedrunner. I didn't know anything about this game, and it's been such a pleasure to get to know this game and to get to know you, and you did a phenomenal job.
Well, it's been a pleasure to get to know you as well. So with that ends my run here. I will be back later this week hosting. Jen will be back later this week with commentary, so please do keep watching. We get to see Cat Girl Madeline later today too, so you definitely want to stick around for that. Thank you again, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your marathon. Hope you have a great day.
Trying to make sure we're actually clear. It's just because stream is... Okay, yeah, we're... Well, it looks like, if nothing else, I am definitely not clear, and that's what we want. My name is Netara, and I'm continuing to be your host for the next couple of runs. We are going to read a few donations here and continue on. We have some really cool things going. So we are going to clear up some lovely, amazing donations that we got earlier. So we got $25 from Pixel Queen saying, "Kill Yoshi." We did get to do that, so thank you so very much. We got $25 from Elijah saying, "So happy to see Super Mario Maker 3DS on the GDQ channel. Your amazing gameplay paired with your fun commentary make for an awesome time, Charbunny. All for a great cause." And thank you, Chad, for letting us know the mics were still live. Sometimes these things happen, but we keep rocking on. We got $20 from Mathia Graffine. "This is my first time seeing 3DS Mario Maker, and I'm so impressed by what Charbunny is doing that I can't help but want to name the hero in Legend of Mana after her. Because naming an RPG character after a platforming specialist definitely makes sense. Let's see how amazing this marathon will be, and let's see how much money we can raise." And we do have that Legend of Mana run coming up after our 2 Celeste runs, so definitely keep an eye on that. RPG Chick is an excellent runner, so you're not going to want to miss her or that run. We have $50 from Anonymous saying, "Charbunny, you are cool like that." Facts. So many facts. And we got $35 from Bookworm42 saying, $5 per death so far. going towards the Catgirl Madeline incentive, which thankfully was met. Great job on the run, Charbunny, and good luck on the final levels. With that, we are going to move to our prize segment. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. So many excellent prizes which are being offered with donations. And I will let our crew tell you about those.
Welcome back to Flame Fatales 2021. My name is Sent, and joining me is always the amazing Frozen Flygon.
What's up, Sent? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Frozen. How are you doing right now?
I am awesome. Been such a fantastic run that just happened.
That Mario Maker run was great. We were sitting here watching it. We were loving it. We were also so excited that we've already raised over $10,000 from Olala Fund, right?
I swear, I was walking over to this couch, and we passed $10,000. I didn't even... I'm blown away.
Blink of an eye, but the generosity out there, absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much. And there are plenty of more runs to come and plenty of more donations to get in and be read. And let's tell you all about some of the amazing prizes that you can win by donating. Now, as a reminder, you don't have to donate specifically for the prizes. You can donate and put that donation towards one of the amazing incentives. We've got a few different options for Immortals Phoenix Rising coming up, as well as, I think, another goal that we are trying to reach, Rosen. Is that right?
Yeah, for Legend of Mana, we're trying to save Diana, who is one of the optional things you can do in the game. If that gets met, then the RBG check will save them.
And hopefully that will happen. I think we are still about $1,000 off or so from that.
I believe so.
Let's get those donations in. Now, if you haven't already gotten a $25 donation in today, you should go ahead and do so. That's going to get you into everything we're about to talk about, as well as a quarter of the way to our grand prize, a PlayStation 5. How can you not want it? It's a PS5.
Exactly. And we're about to show you all the awesome things that we have for our prizes today. Ready to go?
They're so awesome. Let's get it started with these lovely Celeste Perler magnets from Kinda Nerdy Housewife. They are awesome. I love these so much. You can see that is the sign of a wonderfully melted perler right there when you get those beautifully smooth color transitions, but you're also not getting any like curling around the edges of the perler. That is masterfully done. And they're magnets, so they're super functional. You can slap them on your fridge and make your own Celeste mountain.
Yes. And so a minimum donation of $5 gets you entered in for the set of these two.
Yep. They are wonderful. Thank you so much again to Kinda Nerdy Housewife for sending those out to us. Now, from our friends over at the Legends of Localization team, we have this book, Bad Translation, Video Games. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I had to cheat and look at the cover. It's really hard. I'm telling you, it's really hard. This is a super cool book from the Legends of Localization team talking about and cataloging all of the different infamous translation errors from, the early days of video games all the way to the modern day. Stuff like Katz's famous line from Zero Wing of "All your base are belong to us," or my personal new favorite, "I will make a graveyard of you."
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
That is an amazing threat. "I will make a graveyard of you."
I mean, that terrifies me. That's a good... You did it. I'm scared.
No, that is something for sure. Huge shout outs to the Legends of Localization team. $5 minimum donation. You could win a copy of the book. It is absolutely great. And also from the Legends of Localization team, we have Legends of Localization Volume 2, Earthbound, a bit more of an in-depth read for sure, but it is a super fascinating book about all of the difficulties and intricacies of not just translating, but localizing Earthbound. Because, again, it's a game, that features a lot of pop culture. There's, Michael Jackson references in the game. There's, Japanese, children's game and nursery rhyme references in the game.
That are really based on the pronunciation of how you say things.
Exactly.
How do you make those work?
There's so many things that just don't necessarily work if you directly translate them into English. It's all about the localization in this book. Going to tell you all about it. And, oh boy, is it going to tell you a lot, because it is a massive book.
It's thick. It's got a lot of beautiful illustrations, really showing you pictures from the game, going through it in such immense detail. This is definitely somewhat for game historians and people who love the history of games. It is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Oh, we got another present. All right.
We got another bow, it looks like.
Thank you so much, Chad, for making this happen. I'm going to try and put this on while looking in a mirror. That's kind of hard to do. Okay, they're friends.
I believe in
think
you,
I
Cor.
got it.
You can do it.
I think I got it.
Anyway, this book, absolutely amazing, goes into such detail. One of my favorites to read anytime I'm on a plane ride to an event. $10 minimum donation, you could win a copy of it. Now, also for a $10 donation, we have some wonderful pins, don't we?
Yes, we do. We have this adorable Isabelle pin from Animal Crossing. I love this so much. First of all, it's very large. It's about as large as this bow over here.
Are you sure that's a pin?
Yeah, it is. You can't pin it. You need something hefty to put this into, though, for sure. It has a little bell on it.
I love that.
I love it so much.
I love the little bell. It's so detailed. It's so beautifully done. I love the engraving on the back, too.
Yeah, it has a bunch of like Animal Crossing leaves, and then, the Donor Crossing pins has their logo on it. It is just masterfully made, like so gorgeous.
It's so cool. Huge shout outs to Crossing Pins for sending that out to us. Again, $10 minimum donation gets you into that pin, as well as...
Yeah, we have another pin as well from The World Ends With You. We have the protagonist Neku here, and looking at the 104 building from the game. I absolutely love The World Ends With You, one of my favorite DS games of all time, and the detailing on this is also just really beautiful.
Yeah, it's an incredible pin. Thank you so much to Itozun for sending it out to us. It's beautiful. It's so stylish and iconic. I am a huge fan of everything they put together.
Yes.
That pin is no exception. That pin actually might be one of my favorite things
it's
they've
gorgeous.
ever done.
Absolutely.
It's so cool. And speaking of some of my favorite things, we got the Shy Guy from Yoshi, done by our very own Puzzle P. He's just a wonderful person. She is an amazing human being, and her artwork is incredible. It's a little hard to see on camera, but surrounding the Shy Guy are a bunch of like little fun doodle squiggles.
Yes.
P's art style is always like doodle squiggles and glitter and just fun. It reminds me of that, free-form, expressive art that you did when you were a child, but it also just looks so good and so professional. How can you not love it? And it's only a $10 minimum donation, right?
It's only a $10 minimum donation. We just had the amazing Mario Maker run. Like, this is amazing. You'd love to have this.
I would love to have this. Yeah. It's so good. $10 anytime today. Make sure to get in those donations. Now, for a $20 minimum donation, we have this lovely K95 Corsair keyboard. And I mentioned earlier that this was actually the keyboard we're using in the studio. So we figured, you know what? Why don't we just grab one of the keyboards that we have and show it off?
Yay!
This thing is super cool. You can see it on camera there. It's got, a full RGB suite right now. Right now, it's just kind of cycling through the colors. But with the included software, you can, change that to whatever you want. You can make it like ripple colors as you type.
Nice.
Again, that's how much pressure it takes to hit these keys. Like zero pressure for actualization here. It's so nice. No effort required at all. It's a wonderfully functional keyboard. Again, it has an optional attachable wrist rest.
Yes.
So you can just slap it on there, and it's going to be super ergonomic for your hands.
Yeah.
It's going to be wonderful. It's a $20 minimum donation. So make sure to get those donations in. Super cool keyboard. You definitely want it. Now, for a $25 minimum donation, we have a collector's edition of Horizon Zero Dawn. And I actually wanted to take out some of the pieces of them and show them all off individually because they are amazing. So with this collector's edition, you get this beautiful steel book case for Horizon Zero Dawn. Games included in the case as well. So don't worry, it's not just for display. You can also play Horizon Zero Dawn with this. But it looks wonderful. I love steelbook cases. This one is especially nice. You get a lovely art book, The Art of Horizon Zero Dawn. This has just so much beautiful concept art from the game in it. I am a huge, huge fan of it. Like this is masterful. I don't want to open it a little too wide.
I know, right?
It's very
it's
thin.
like the texturing, the colors, it's gorgeous.
It's professionally done. It's a game that looks beautiful in motion, but it looks beautiful in concept as well. Mm-hmm. And of course, you also get a lovely statue of protagonist Aloy standing on top of the defeated machine. And I'm just going to move that into frame here.
I didn't even get to see this until just before this, and it is so beautiful.
It's so cool. The sculpting on it is amazing. The detail is excellent. The bow we're going to keep in the clamshell packaging because it is a little flimsy. Definitely don't want anything to happen to it. But as you can see, this is just a masterfully done statue, 9 inches tall. So much beautiful detail. You can see the defeated machine below Aloy there. This is incredible. $25 minimum donation anytime today. Just make sure to get those donations in because they're going to a great cause.
Yes.
They're going to Malala Fund. They're going to Creating Futures for Girls everywhere. And of course, that $25 is also going to get you a quarter of the way entered into our grand prize, right, Court?
Yes, all week. If you put in a cumulative total of $100, you're entered in to win a PS5.
A PS5. How could you not want a PS5? You can't get them anywhere right now.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You can get one right here.
You could get one right here, and all you got to do is donate at least $100 cumulatively throughout the week to Flame Fatales 2021. So $25 today, $25 tomorrow,
Just
$25
sprinkle it
a
in
couple
for your
more times.
favorite games, your favorite incentives.
Put it all in there. You know
Yes.
what? And you could walk away with a PlayStation 5. Now, I think that's going to be about all the time that we have, but it's always so cool to be here. And you all definitely shouldn't go anywhere because there are so many great runs coming up, right? I know you're excited for
Yes.
Celeste.
I'm only a little bit biased, but Celeste is a really good game. And these next two runners are both incredibly talented. You're going to love it.
It's going to be great. If you have any questions at all, you can always go over to gamesdonequick.com. It's the source of truth for everything. You can check out all the runs in the marathon. You don't want to miss any of them. Stay tuned all night for them. You can see all the incentives and the progress that we're making on them there. We will see if we are going to be able to save Dana or not in Legends of Mana a little bit later tonight. And of course, you can check out all of the prizes that you can win not only today, but every day throughout the event. Make sure to check it out. Make sure to stay tuned and make sure to keep those donations coming for Malala Fund. I'm Sent.
I'm Frozen Flygon.
And stay tuned. I forgot what I was going to say. The facade is broken.
Welcome back, everybody. Those were some excellent prizes. And anyone who donates within the amounts as stated, you can be entered in for some of those prizes. So let me read out some of the donations we have previously received of some lovely folks who have already likely been entered into some of these draws. We have $25 from Eligas as saying, hey guys, watching from Tenerife. Good luck to everyone and let's get on some donations. We have $5 from Cinderflame. Woo! Flame Fatales is live! Let's go, girls! Well, we're going as hard as we can and rocking it. $5 from Cartwright. Love the fact the Flame Fatales has been letting everyone know that gender norms are overrated and no matter who you are, you can belong and be a part of something great. $25 from Russian Dragoness saying, meow. Believe that was one of the lovely donations that helped us get to the Catalan, Catgirl Madeline for the Quickie Mountain 2 run coming up shortly. Okay, and welcome back. To those who are subscribed and weren't seeing that ad, you got to hear some donations. But the lovely folks who were seeing that ad, you missed out on some donations. So we're going to reread a few of those. That was on me, friends. So we got $25 from Eligas922 saying, "Hey guys, watching from Tenerife. Good luck to everyone, and let's get on some donations." We have $5 from Cinderflame. Woo! Frame Fatales is live. Let's go, girls! We have $5 from Cartwright. Love the fact that Frame Fatales has been letting everyone know that gender norms are overrated, and no matter who you are, you can belong and be part of something great. We have $25 from Roshan Dragoness saying, "Meow." One of the lovely donators who helped us get to the Catgirl Madeline donation incentive, and we'll be seeing that very shortly on our Catgirl Madeline in Quickie Mountain 2, which will be our next run. So definitely keep getting your donations in. Lots of cool donation incentives left. We have $20 from Bosco. Love watching speedy plays of fun games while supporting great causes. I think you're in good company there. It's definitely super fun. We have $20 from Temporary Enthusiasm. Cataline? Cataline! Heart! And we did meet that incentive, so thank you. $10 from Spooky Jonathan. Yoshi must be sacrificed. Save the frames. Well, good news to you, Jonathan. Yoshi was sacrificed successfully thanks to donators like you. We had $250 from Scrabblier saying, "Those awesome skips done first try were awesome." As requested, donating to the Catgirl Madeline incentive, which again has been met. So thank you so much. We have $100 from Minnie Moo. "I'm a bear." I think more of us would be happy being bears. $50 from Anonymous. For Charbunny to be running this game at the same time she's giving so much detailed commentary is astonishing. Really glad I tuned in when I did. Let's get that donation incentive moving and get to Cataline. Yeah, for anyone who missed it, definitely check out the VOD of that Super Mario Maker run from for 3DS. It was amazing, and Charbunny, the skill to do all of those tricks and that running while commentating, amazing. We have $50 from Courant. While I'd normally be all for saving the dinosaurs, the meteor killed enough. Char's done such an amazing job that I must oblige the lady and murder Yoshi. War Eagle. We have $25 from Voidmarked saying, "Gotta see that Cataline." Make sure to stick around. We will be seeing a Cataline very shortly. I'm very excited personally. We have $100 from Malnavia. What a great event with an excellent theme, wonderful beneficiary, and amazing runners. I'm so glad to see this event gathering attention, and we will be watching all week with my partner. Keep up the great work and good luck on all the runs. $25 from Kylie. First time donating. Thank you for the amazing gameplay and commentary. Thank you for donating. We appreciate every little bit you can give. We have $50 from Theo Lyons. First time watching Frame Fatales, and geez, I've been missing out. This Mario Maker run is amazing. In honor of Char's awesome skill and commentary, here's $50 towards Catgirl Madeline. We have $100 from Kui. Charbunny is a delightful runner, so this donation goes to her wish. Kill Yoshi. Well, Yoshi, sorry, you didn't make it. $100 from MB. Awesome running commentary, Charbunny. Save the bunnies. Kill Yoshi, though. He's got it coming. What has Yoshi ever done for any of us? Chat, let us know. What has Yoshi done for you? Whether it be something really excellent or, nothing. We all love, and also we love Yoshi, and also need him to, keep helping us save time. We have $10 from Mia. I'm very impressed by all the speedrunning. Keep it up for a great cause. See, we have $50 from Voemi saying, bye-bye, Yoshi. Goodbye, Yoshi. You did very good work. $10 from Bright Shadow. Save the animals, but not Yoshi. Sorry, Yoshi. This wasn't your day. $100 from Maridon. I will not allow these innocent frames to be killed. Thank you so much for trying to save Yoshi. I'm sure Yoshi appreciates it at least. We have $50 from Anonymous. The horse must die. There is nothing like a save or kill the animals or Yoshi incentive to really bring everyone out. It's lovely. You're all wonderful. We have $200 from Jason LaRose. Charbunny wants to kill the Yoshi. I want to kill the Yoshi. We have $15 from V-Agent Zero. This has been a wonderfully enlightening run. Big ups to Charbunny, Netara, Jen, all and everyone who brought it to us, because education matters. We have $50 from DJ Zyko. Charbunny was a treat to watch. Excited for a fun week of runs. Keep it up, ladies. And yes, for those who are just joining us, this marathon will be going on all week, right until Saturday, which is the 21st. So definitely stick around all week. It's going to be happening. We will be sleeping during the North American nights. But definitely keep around, join us, just hang out, even if you can't donate. Being here, spreading the word of this marathon, and just enjoying yourself really is going to help us out and help out Malala Fund so much. So thank you to all of you. And chat, we are already on to the 4th bow that we are going to get Frozen Flygon to wear as part of the prize segment. So I have heard rumors of anywhere between 18 and 27 bows. I believe the previous record of how many bows she's worn was 18, and that there may be 27 bows. So this is on all you lovely folks. If you want to see more of those bows, please spend your channel points, which you earn just for hanging out. You do get more if you are subscribed to the channel. However, subs to the while, while they do fund the hotfix events for GDQ, do not go towards Malala Fund. So, but they help out us so we can continue doing more cool events like Flame Fatale. So every little bit helps. And I just want to see how many bows her head can hold. Like, she's so small. We want to see this. Oh my goodness, we have $1,110 from our previous runner, Charbunny. As promised, here's $100 per death. Thanks for counting, chat. Plus the extra 10 for skipping the POW strat. Thank you everyone all for the support. I had such a wonderful time. And thank you to Charbunny. Seriously, as someone who has never seen that run before, it was amazing. So thank you so much for that and for your very generous donation. Speaking of donations, let's see what sort of donation incentives we have coming up. So thankfully to all of your generous donations, we have met the Catgirl Madeline incentive for the Quickie Mountain 2 run coming up. And we have also met the Pet the Cat incentive. So look forward to both of those as part of the Quickie Mountain 2 run. We also, for after the 2 Celeste runs, we have Legend of Mana coming up. And that is run by a personal friend of mine who I absolutely adore, the RPG chick. So we want to get those met. We want to have some cool things there. So the 2 donations there are for either choosing the man or woman character as who we're going to run in this route, or to name the main character. And with that, it looks like we are ready to go for Quickie Mountain 2. So we're going to get to see that Catgirl Madeline. And so I am very excited to join Fel and Frozen Flygon and see how this goes. Passing it on to you, friends.